that. I mean, I see a lot of people praising patriots in Scotland. I saw Tommy Robinson put out a lot of posts about Scotland, which is great to see. And I've been watching a lot of the videos and the footage as well. So, and I've seen English people travel up to Scotland as well to cover it. So it's absolutely fantastic to see. And yeah, it's going over really well. And people are really appreciative of the efforts of the people of Scotland.
Brilliant. So as people are noticing down south that we're finally getting active.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? We're all in this together. Like I say, regardless of your political allegiances or what, at the end of the day, we have these islands to share, and you know they're not moving. You know what I mean? So we're on these islands. These are our home, and we have to defend them, right? So people who are outside. I mean, look, the best example of that, I think, was fair to say, was in Northern Ireland, where you saw people who historically were technically at war with each other. You know, Irish tricolour and the Union Jack alongside each other, saying we don't want these people here. Because at the end of the day, we might have our differences amongst ourselves, but they are our differences. That's our business. It's got nothing to do with outsiders from the other side of the world. And I think everyone's pretty much in agreement on that now.
Yeah. Aye, and I think I'll get John to maybe tell us a bit about what's happening up in Aberdeen. I was up there, John had asked me to speak. I was so proud to do so. Phenomenal crowd, phenomenal people. You can get a wee jib with a jab about me being a Rangers fan. That went down well. I get received better than I thought I would. I risked it for a biscuit and mentioned as a Rangers fan and shouted at other people, but it was received received in the way it was meant to be received, mate. So I gave it to Hoosty Awards, as I say. I was saying that I think Falkirk for the crowd they pulled last Saturday for a town the size of it was just outstanding. But Aberdeen, the consistency is just crazy. He's at it morning, noon and night all weekend. So well done, mate. And how do you feel your Saturday went?
It was buzzing, mate. It was just class, to be fair. It seems like it's picking up. The bar's starting to get rolling. More people in Aberdeen are noticing. I'm walking down the street now and people are speaking about it. Okay? And rather than having to mention it to people about what's going on, they're coming up and to me and mentioning it to me. So, but just touching on what my mum was just saying there, okay, and about the country's all coming together. We've got to come together. And like your Rangers joke, I might never have done well a couple of months ago, but now we just
a couple of days ago,
2 weeks ago, but now you just need to put things aside, and we just all need to unite. We're a lot better united. Definitely true, definitely. But
yeah, and how's the mainstream media been with you? It seems there was a wee girl trying to run about, and I don't even know where she was from, but everybody was sort of ignoring her and telling her to go away. But did you see her there?
I think she was actually for was it like Women Speak Up thing? It was a Speak Up thing in Aberdeen actually recently, and I'm sure that's where she was from.
Sorry, mate. I thought she was a mainstream media. She was like trying to record something on her iPhone. I didn't realise.
No, I think she was just a bit nervous, to be fair with you. I did say to her at the end, she should just come in and just introduce herself. It would be fine. But there was a good write up for the Press and Journal. They put a really good, fair, honest write up. So it was quite good, to be fair. It was surprising. It was surprising, but it was good.
I'm gonna try and get.
I seen that as well, and I was shocked, to be honest, at the statement they put out. You thought it would just be far right gathering and everything, but they were actually, they were all right, to be honest.
It's quite fair both ways, to be honest.
Aye, definitely.
Well, my day started off in Stirling. There was a farmers' protest. It wasn't actually farmers, it was just the community wanting to show support for farmers, which I thought was fantastic. People, realising that how important their role is and how they should get looked after, as opposed to mistreated with every single bit of legislation that seems to come out. And John, he'd went to Perth first. There was obviously one of the Asylum hotel protests up there. And then he came down to Stirling, met him for about half an hour, and then I shot up to Aberdeen. But Perth looked a bit busy as well. Strangely enough, I noticed and done a wee piece about Maggie Chapman, who's supposedly an MSP, who was proudly standing opposing her constituents who were there to protest for child safety, etc. And she was waving for a good 15-20 minutes a big Antifa flag. So I'm kind of wondering how that fits with morals of being an MSP, when you're there to just represent the people that voted for you and the people of your own party. You're actually there to represent everybody. And John noticed the same down in Perth where you had Pete Wishart, and he started calling him out online, and Pete Wishart started responding to John online, which I thought was equally as bizarre for he's an MP. And it's just like, these people live in a bubble. They actually genuinely live in a bubble, and they don't understand and they don't want to believe that there's people who don't live in their little bubble. And it's absolutely potty. So I'm just going to get, before we move on to anything else, I'm just going to get this Press and Journal thing up. I'm reading it for the first time myself, so bear with me, get it up the screen. And here. Right, so if I do that, it should make it bigger. Where is it? Ah, it's here. Right, so this is the Press and Journal now. As I say, I'm just reading this for the first time. An anti-migration protest took place at Hampton by Hilton Hotel in Westhill. You see, before I start, I think it's quite important to tell you guys, most of the protests, especially, the hotels, particularly in Scotland, they don't tend to be in nice residential areas. I'm not saying they're in slums or ghettos or anything, but generally they're in city centres. And even the other one we were at in Aberdeen, although there was nice houses round about it, was very close to the city centre. Westhill is just outside Aberdeen. It's not part of the city. It's Aberdeen postcode and stuff, and it's it's part of the community, but it's set outside the city. And what a beautiful place it is. It's not the place you would imagine to get a migrant hotel plopped in the middle of it. And this is another one that's all metal. And the fact that it's a Hampton by Hilton, it's no travel lodge quality. It's a decent quality hotel in a very, very nice area. So it was a bit bonkers that there's one there in the first place. Hundreds of protesters engaged in a standoff outside a migrant hotel in Aberdeenshire on Saturday. About 200 anti-immigration demonstrators were met outside the Hampton by Hilton Hotel in Westhill by anti-racism counter-protesters. The protest was organised to demonstrate against the housing of asylum seekers at the hotel. Protesters banged drums, blared sirens, well, that was Kevin that was blaring sirens, and shouted chants including "Send them home" and "Stop the votes." They also held up placards which read "Protect our kids" and "Protect our women." The group were met by significant, albeit, keyword here, smaller number of opposition protesters. This is it I like. They're starting to outnumber the paid protesters. And I think because they're starting to get so many in the same day, they kind of are running out of ideas. Because normally they go to one place and have it away with themselves. So anyway, separated by a number of police officers and a barricade, chants of racist and Nazi, counter-protesters displayed banners which read "Refugees welcome." Officers stood in the middle while the two groups shouted across each other. Those staying in the hotel rooms above can be seen watching from their windows. Interested onlookers also watched on from Straight Road while car drivers honked horns, though it's unclear which side they indicated support for. The fact that they were surrounded by people on our side would suggest you kind of knew who they were supporting. Anyway, if that's a small thing in their thing, we'll do it. It is understood there were no arrests. I'll come back to that in a minute. Hampton by Hilton Hotel was opened up to house asylum seekers in March 2023. The Home Office has said that 173 male refugees aged between 18 to 40, so no old ones, no women, no children, were to be given lodgings there. It's been closed to the public since, with security guards stationed outside. The clash comes as dozens, I don't know what it means, of salt tiles were raised in Aberdeen days after demonstrations in England. The Scottish flags were raised on various lampposts around Great North Road area. They are understood to be related to an online patriotism movement called Operation Raise the Colours. I think that's really, really fair, guys, to be honest with you. I think that's a great report. Quite balanced, and yeah.
That's because we're giving no reason to come out with anything, Ken. We're giving them no reason to come out with anything bad. So the only thing, if they're going to report it, they've got to kind of tell the truth now, because we've got so many independent people there recording. So lying's not going to work for them anymore. So it's easy to brand it.
It's never stopped them before. Do you know what I mean? That I genuinely, I mean that it's like it doesn't matter, because you've seen what happened to Stephen, the organised Falkirk, and the way Clyde One try to spin that one, and and I think the going about the arrests, I think there was one potential flashpoint, and I think you were right on your toes at it, John, making sure nothing escalated, but it was ridiculous that there was 4 adults managed to leave the counter-protest and walk right within touching distance of our protest.
Exactly.
Now, that in itself I thought was a bit strange, but the fact then that 2 of them were evidently trying to antagonise people,
yeah,
you're like, this is bang out of order. And if it kicked off, I know who would have won just by sheer numbers, and I kind of know how that would have been reported. I seen you getting right in the middle of it to sort of look, guys, look peaceful. But it's turned out at least one of them is a doctor, and I'm going to do a video about him probably tomorrow, and suggestions that the 2 of them are doctors. So do you want to explain what happened there, John? Because you were close to it, but you were right in about it.
I like when I got informed it, but it was, they were walking by. If you flip it the other way around, if we were at the far side, there's no way we would get to leave around the back of their group and walk behind them. There's no way. We'd be led down different streets in a way, but it's the same stuff, same story all the time. But they walked around the back and started goading people, calling us racist at the back. You've got women and children standing at the back of the group, even elderly standing there, just residents of Westhill. And that's the thing I was saying about Westhill. It's not like the normal ones in the city centre. You've got a lot of elderly people that go out there to retire, but to live comfortable and still be close to their family. But it's not like that for them anymore. But yeah, they were just trying to get a reaction, and they nearly got it, but we managed to stay calm and keep it peaceful, although it did nearly go that way. But
now, I heard after the event, and I did speak to her after it happened, but she didn't mention it, but Stephen, the missus, was suggesting something happened in the car park once they get taken away and put into the Spar car park to get on their way. You willing to talk about that?
Sorry, what was that again? Say that again.
Stephen's missus, that something happened in the car park once that calmed down.
Oh no, I've not heard of that one yet. Like,
oh, I think it was the same thing. I think it's the same thing she was talking about, because you see him pointing his finger in her face. And your little clip you put on YouTube and X. Just that, but if you watch closely, you'll see her come into camera, and then you see him pointing in her face.
Right.
Shouting racist, and then aye, guy's a bully.
Now, that was a younger one with the Palestine football top on, yeah?
No, that was the doctor, the kidney surgeon.
The older one?
Aye.
Shut up.
You see the photos I tagged you in a day? One of them is actually him coming out of court, I think.
What, was he a witness or accused?
I think that was at the women's free speech protest thing. He was shouting abuse at the women at the protest a couple of weeks ago in Aberdeen. So he's a repeat offender at it.
Incredible. So we've got DJR, we've got Denzel. I'm going to come to Denzel last, right? Because I got a special question for him. Now, DJR, you came across somebody who had put you in an odd position, leaving a protest.
My best friend.
Are you okay to talk about that? Yeah. Are you okay to talk about that?
Jonathan. Yeah. Well, he was the one that stood across the road. I don't know what he was doing, because there was apparently people saying he was leaving, but then he went back to the protest. So I think he was just standing there to really antagonise the situation, I think. That's what I personally believe.
Well,
but
I tell you, I think he was trying to leave, and then he realised if I get away for the, it's far enough away for these police, I might be feeling a bit uncomfortable, and decided just to go back to the protest. And I probably not be surprised if he was still sitting there, because I seen his face drop.
His bus left. He missed his bus. That's why he went back into the crowd.
He wanted escorted to the bus stop by the 2 cops who refused, and then by the time he thought, I'll go for it, his bus left, so he had to come back.
You've got a bit of history with him, EJ.
A tiny bit, which I mean, I don't really want to remember him, because he's just an odd character to remember, But basically, what happened? I was attending the Aberdeen protest, and I have to get the bus into places. So, he came onto the same bus as me. He basically seen I was there, and he turned his head away. And when either his friends were on the bus or they got onto the bus, I'm unsure of what happened really. But then as I got off the bus, they all surrounded me and was like, "Oh, you're a fascist scum, you're a racist, you're this and you're that." I tell them I'm here to film and whatever, and they just keep shouting all their abusive comments and everything. But that's about the much history I have with Jonathan. And then I put a post up on Facebook, and then everyone just recognised him, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting pelters. He's been made famous.
Oh,
I don't think people in that crowd didn't know who Jonathan was by the end of the night. And that was quite funny. And then, Kev, I managed to give you a wee shout out during my speech. Was that okay? Were you quite happy with that?
Aye. Aye. All right then. No bother.
He done enough shout outs himself.
Craig's speech, he's got to be the only man that's managed to stand in Aberdeen in a crowd of 200 and shout, "We are the people."
It was a peaceful protest, Steve. It was peaceful, bro. We had to keep it peaceful.
It stayed peaceful.
You were one of the targets sent to cause a carry on, were you?
That was
some statement to make in Aberdeen, man. That, I mean, see when he said that, I thought, oh, here we go.
No, listen, it was to show how much things move on, right?
That's it.
For those who haven't seen it, I put out a video of the speech in it, and obviously most of you were there, but for those that weren't, I had said that I felt there was 2 awards had to go to Scotland, and one of them was Falkirk, just because of the sheer numbers, because the numbers they pulled last week were just phenomenal for a town that size. And the one for consistency has to go to Aberdeen, because they're just smashing it, right? They're just going for it. They're just like, find us another hotel, we're going there on Saturday, right? And if there's 2, we'll have 2 protests, and we'll do another one on Sunday, right? They're just on it, right? They've done a credit to Scotland, and they're really, really showing everybody the way. So I said that, and I think the consistency award has to go to Aberdeen. Has to. And I was like, oh, right. And I went, by the way, see, for me being a Rangers fan, you've got to understand that's hard for me to say, right? And there was a boo, and it was just 16 boos, and I went, right, aye, we are the people, right? And then I adopted it. And I try to just show how we've moved on from the parochialism that we can sometimes get with football. And I'll tell you another thing. I don't know anybody up there's politics, but I think I'm willing to put a pound to a penny that there will have been people who are now you probably wouldn't have stood beside 10 years ago when the whole of Scotland was divided by a nationalist or a unionist. And I don't know, and you're just going, this is brilliant. It's bigger than all that. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than religion. It's bigger than even the constitutional question in Scotland. It's just magic. And do you know another thing that hurt me? And I think I said to Kevin when we left, see, since 2014, I've not really recognised kilts, saltires, and bagpipes as anything that identifies me anymore. Because
same as me.
The nationalists sort of took them and they just decided they're our emblems. And I was cool with that. I didn't have a big issue with that. It's like I didn't know my thing anymore. But I tell you something got me on Saturday. And I was like, this is the first time I've really got, that feeling you get when the pipes go, or I used to get when the pipes go and the drums go and all that. And I got it because you had done all that music and stuff. And I was like, it's all right to be proud to be Scottish. Do you know what I mean? It's all right to embrace the bagpipes. It's all right to embrace the saltire, because you can do that and still be a unionist. It's no the sole rights of people that are not unionists anymore. And I found that really peculiar. So, but that Aberdeen fans patting the back and cuddling me and stuff after seeing me out Aberdeen. It was just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It was a great thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I was thinking about it. There was no chance I would have been buying Union Jacks and stuff a couple of weeks ago if it was just on the basis of football and stuff. And you have to put that aside. I tried it with this first protest we'd done. I joined Rangers and Celtic pages. And I was on trying to get, it was Aberdeen was playing Celtic that weekend, and I tried to get other Celtic boys to come round. But I've been doing like a lead balloon arting. But as far as that goal came, but you were on about the bagpipes and the Scotland flags. Well, 2014, I'm only 26, Ken, so that stuff didn't really come in with me. The Scotland flag and the bagpipes have always meant so much to me. So that's why I just thought it was a crazy thing that people fan out with you for flying it. Just think it's mad.
The room's getting busy. We're having a wee blether there, and I'm just looking around, and we've got Alan's joined us. Who else? There's AC. How you doing, Alex? And Gorilla, but Gorilla's not letting me add him because he's saying that his mic or stroke camera is not connected. So, who have we not spoke to? AC first. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right, Craig. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I'm buzzing still for Saturday. Saturday was fantastic. Started in Stirling, ended up in Aberdeen, and spent the night in Dundee. So I kind of seen a fair bit of the country, mate. What about yourself?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, mate. I kind of
Yeah.
said to Stephen Rennie, I was going to do my best, but it was just never going to work. I never had the time, mate. I'm flat out there now. I can't get a minute to even get my dinner, mate, honestly.
Yeah. No, that's
Took a
understandable.
lot
The
on,
amount
and
of
I'm
things you've got to go.
just ran off my feet, and I can't get a minute. And Saturday was just not going to work. And I was, I was up for it, and I caught a few clips, but I was just on the move and had stuff on, so it's a nightmare.
Do you know the amount of people asking you about you? Do you know what I mean? And John as well. And I'm like, this is nuts, isn't it? I'm not talking about one or two people here, mate. I'm talking about like maybe a dozen to 20, and about 200 people. That's kind of a lot. Do you know what I mean? And it's just incredible the amount of people that are tuning in to the whole movement, and people in that movement are starting to get recognised and spoke about by others. And there was one that was hilarious. So we women came up. Craig, loved your speech house. All right, thanks. Aye. She went, and by the way, where's John? I was like, oh, he's done Perth and then Stirling and then home, and I've done Stirling and then Aberdeen. So we kind of try to work out between us. Oh, I was desperate to see him. She said, I was watching that outtakes thing that you put up on Friday night with John and I on a podcast, right? And she's like, and he's just a lovely young man. That I'm desperate to see him, and I was in tears. And I'm like, he just went home, right? He's crackers. So, it's and the amount of people asking about you, John, and whatever. It's magic, mate. It's absolute. It's a whole movement thing that's happening. It's really, I think, really powerful, mate.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we stay on the right side of history and get it right and no mess it up.
Yep.
That's right. And get the result. So, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm tired. I'm feeling it. I've got a really, really busy week, and then I'm away early September for maybe 8 or 9 days, maybe 10 days. And then I'm back here. I'm just, don't know. Can't get a minute, mate, honestly. My head's wasted.
You just need to say no sometimes.
Can I? That's the problem.
True. It's difficult, isn't it? So, Alan, you've popped up. How are you, Alan?
Houston, we have a problem.
What's that, buddy?
Hey, I'm spot on. Thank you very much. How's everybody yourself?
Average. Bang average.
Everybody, how's everyone yourself?
Tired.
Magic. Hey, what a magic protest that was. Hands up, Craig, especially you coming up to speak. Kev, coming up and giving us your support. Brilliant. Couldn't have asked for more like that. You took a time and effort out your day and you gave us our voice. So a big up respect to you like that.
Humbled to be invited and asked to speak, Alan. It was a pleasure, and I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't one of my longest speeches, but I fairly enjoyed it. The reception was great. And what I will say, the irony of what you're just after saying, though, is I was invited up to speak, and Kevin said more words during the protest, I think, than anybody else up there. Every time I was to somebody, he's got himself.
He didn't get off the microphone. The megaphone. All I could hear was the back of my gun. Get them here and send them home. I was like, magic.
But I'd got a couple of good interviews. One with a Polish woman who came here legally.
Yes,
and one.
I'll tell you a story about her, folks. The protest we did up at Maastricht, the Langstraat, we blew the amplifier. No, sorry, the generator. So we had no power for the speeches for everybody to have the talk. Then Aga, she came to me, she says, do you want power? And I'm like, that would be brilliant, my darling. If you could give us power, that would be excellent. So she went into the Polish shop, managed to get us power so we could have our protest.
I didn't know that was her.
Was that because the amplifier was struggling to understand you?
Yes.
It was a non-boring amplifier. They had AC, not DC.
They always can't understand us. We speak too fast like that.
I've spent long enough in Aberdeen, mate, to understand.
But anyway, out of the whole precinct, there was about 4 or 5, 6 shops open. They were away to shut in 10 minutes, and she managed to give us power for 30 minutes from closing time of her shop, which was unbelievable.
Well done.
So we've had a good bit of chat about Scotland there, and so could you give us a maybe update of what activities were going on down south this weekend? Because I say I left the house Saturday morning to get to Stirling for lunchtime, and I literally came in here at 7:45. So
sorry guys, I've just been taken back by a very, very awful video that I've posted on Twitter. If anyone wants to watch it, it's from Dundee. I don't know if you've caught it. 2 little girls were being recorded by a migrant. These girls look about 10-year-old, and one of them brandishes a knife and an axe and tells them to back off. That's how scary things are for kids in this country these days. Honestly, she looks about 10-year-old, and she brandishes a knife and that's.
I'll just put this up on.
Who's letting 10-year-olds out with knives and axes?
Well, how terrified must they be that they're having to do that? I mean, the guy is a migrant when you listen to him.
I'm terrified listening to that as a parent. You know what I mean?
The guy clearly has a foreign accent. And she's saying, "Don't fucking touch us."
I don't get this up. I don't get the sound. We're going up the start.
Someone's going to get worse.
Yeah, she had a knife. Why are you fucking with her? Show the knife. 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 That's it. That's it. Show the knife. Show the knife. That's it.
She's fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate!
Yeah, show the knife. Maracha.
Don't touch her gun to me! Don't touch her!
It's just insanity.
I'd like to see the unedited video.
That's crazy. On so many
obviously
levels.
happened long before that. And it seems to be the migrant that's doing the filming.
Aye.
And the posting.
Sorry about that, guys. I know that wasn't what we were talking about, but it just took me aback so much just saying that little. I mean, apparently she's 12-year-old and she's carrying those weapons around. I'm like, I'm in my 30s. I've never carried weapons around like that before. You know what I mean? It's just insane. And that was in Dundee, apparently.
Shows how tough that 12-year-old little girl is.
As I'm saying,
she knows you can see it. Unbelievable.
Well, it looks like we need to go down to Dundee and have a protest down there, then.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you, you were in Dundee for about 10 minutes from me last night, Denzel, right?
Aye.
For those that, just to explain, guys, somebody's talking in the background. It's got a mic on. So Kev took his scooter to Dundee. I met him in Dundee because I was staying in Dundee last night. Went to Aberdeen in my car, came back down and picked his scooter up at the hotel I was staying at. The hotel was in like a trading estate, and there was like cinema, McDonald's, KFC, the usual, every year's fair. And when we came into the car park, there was boys in electric bikes and all that carry on. It was like a wee bit jungle-like, to be honest with you. So Kev went away. We went out to get a bite to eat, and we were coming back through the car park. This time, maybe 10 o'clock, maybe not even. Aye, so 10 o'clock, actually, after 10. And there were 20-odd kids in the place, and they were just noising up the security guards, right? And they were being a bit kiddish, and some of them were going a bit over the top. So I kind of thought, I'll hang about just in case the security guard gets any bother, because he certainly didn't deserve it. But mostly it was just kids being kids and a bit silly, right? But as I was standing, paying more attention to the situation, I noticed an adult, dark-skinned guy, looked Somalian, tall, thin, that sort of shape to him. And I thought, it was all white kids. It was all kids around about that wee girl's age. In Dundee, funnily enough. I thought, well, that's peculiar. That's really peculiar, because he doesn't look as if he's going to do these people. So I was standing at the reception door watching, and then the guard got rid of them all. So they all walked to go out off the site. And the African guy walked towards me and was staying in the hotel. And I was like, and as he got towards me, I'm looking going, he's in his 30s. These kids were the same age as those girls. And I thought, he's been out there. And it was only the girls he was chatting to. And he was chatting to the ones that were getting involved with the security guard. He was sort of chatting to the ones and as if he was asking for their digits, as they say here. And I thought, this is a bit dark. And then I thought, am I in a mixed-use place here? Is there migrants in this hotel? I don't know. So I'm going to actually have a wee look into it. But that whole thing was just a bit, that wee 5-10 minutes was just a bit bizarre on so many levels as well. Never seen a video for Dundee where you've got 12-year-olds, something's happened to trigger that girl. And we're obviously seeing a minute and a half of a video, which is pretty horrific with what she's wandering about the streets with. So, but she's suggesting that guy's done something to her. So that whole thing's a bit spooky, mate. Is that
awful? Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say absolutely awful. Sorry, your question before was what has been going on with the hotel protests in England. Today, there's been some good news. Another council has decided to put in a request to close down the migrant hotel in the area. So that one was in the Midlands. I can't remember exactly where. I did post it earlier on. Dudley Council, that was it, Dudley, so near Birmingham. So that's 3 now in total. So you've got the Brook in Norwich, you've got Epping, obviously, the Bell, and now you've got the one in Dudley as well. So it is spreading, and wherever these protests are going, the councils, if they have enough, because you've got to remember a lot of councils might be Labour run or whatever, but a lot of them are actually independent run, and they've got local independents or Tories on or whatever, people who might be more sympathetic to the idea of closing these down. So I think Nuneaton will be the next one to watch. They're getting a lot of pressure right now, and hopefully they'll close their hotel as well. And what you'll see is, obviously, the migrants will not be going home; they'll be staying in the UK, but they'll get pushed into areas where they're not going to get protests, i.e., the areas where people vote for parties that want this sort of stuff. So maybe they'll get a bit of taste of their own medicine, and I don't say that,
See what you're saying there, mate, about them not going home. They won't go home, right? The reason being, they're backed by the Human Rights Convention, and what's going to happen is this. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't put it past the authorities to actually be orchestrating the closure of these hotels, right? Now, hear me out. So they're all in breach of planning rights by housing them in the first place. They've got the ultimate power to change that. They can change a bill and put it through overnight. Now, if they want them in hotels long term, they'll do it. What they actually want is they want them in housing long term. Now, they'll start to close these hotels and say, oh yeah, breach of planning. No one will be responsible for that. And they'll move them out of hotels into accommodation, fixed accommodation. See, once they're in fixed accommodation, no council in the UK will make an asylum family homeless. It's against the law in the UK to make people homeless when you're an authority. That's what will happen. So I wouldn't even be surprised if they were behind the closure and they're using the protesters as a tool to say, yeah, because of the protests, we've breached some planning rights. We'll accept responsibility, lessons will be learned, and we'll move all these people into fixed accommodation. Once they're in the fixed accommodation and the Home Office are picking up the tab, the councils will make a fortune out of housing them. And that's what the councils need right now, is a revenue stream, a massive revenue stream, because they're all broke and they're all bankrupt. So if it comes out down the line that something good in journalism, I would think that they would be behind it or involved in it at least, because if they wanted them in hotels, they would put the bill through Parliament and change the permissions in the hotels. So
just something on that, mate. Any council that has designated itself a sanctuary for asylum seekers, has asked them to come in, they foot a percentage of the bill. And a great example of that is Glasgow Council has just broken its balance and is now into debt because of a £110 million bill for housing asylum seekers in their accommodation. We are actually, a lot of areas of the country, we're at max capacity now. So in Northumbria, for example, they've said they can't take any more because they've literally run out of houses. So I take your point, mate, and you are right, because 2/3 of all asylum seekers in this country are currently in HMOs, i.e. houses of multiple occupancy. But even that we're running out of. So the country's at breaking point, however you look at it.
I don't know how Glasgow Council can be approaching bankruptcy. They haven't spent one dime on maintenance in 5 years since Christmas 2019. Not one penny's been spent in maintenance, right down to grass cutting and road sweeping. Nothing at all, anywhere in the city and anywhere in the suburbs. So they've saved millions and millions of pounds on fuel for all the lawnmowers, on the manpower, on the vehicles. They gave back thousands of vehicles. They off-hired them. So they must be saving millions somewhere. So where is that money? That money must have been stolen. It must have been absorbed elsewhere.
It's an SNP council, mate.
The Glasgow City Council.
It's an SNP council, I believe. It wouldn't surprise me. I'll just quickly read the kind of headline from the Daily Mail article, so you can see for yourself what it says. It said, generous refugee policy backfires as Glasgow City Council now faces £110 million budget crisis. Officials at cash-strapped council have warned that unless there is a pause in asylum seekers being sent to the city, it will push homelessness spending almost £110 million over budget in 2 years. The SNP-led Glasgow City Council report said that the overspend would be £43 million this year and £66 million next year because of large numbers of people attracted by Scotland's most generous rules. But a pause could slash costs by £60 million. Ultimately, right now, this will push them over their budget limit. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm only going off what's been said, but
I know. See,
you
can't believe any
pause,
statements that they make. You can't believe a single statement that Glasgow City Council make. They've got a 20-year track record of lying.
Before I move on to the comments,
right? They're all liars, and I could give you dozens of examples of them lying. They've lied about me. They've lied about exploitation in the city. They've lied about the Four Corners. They've lied about suburbs in the south of the city. They lie about everything. They've blanket denied exploitation and the sale of children. They've blanket denied their responsibility across the whole spectrum of if anything that is deniable because it's got an adverse effect on their reputation, they deny it. And they blanket it. They just box it off and look the other way, and they don't comment. If they're feeding information to rags like the Daily Mail, I can guarantee you it'll be doctored and it'll be watered down, and it will be a portion of the truth, but it won't be the whole truth. They lie notoriously, and Glasgow, the once great city of Glasgow, at one time the shipbuilding and engineering capital of the universe, is absolutely destroyed by Glasgow City Council, but they can still find millions and millions of pounds to box off George Square and spend a fortune on it when it did not need it. George Square did not need any money. There was no sinking of flagstones. There was no depreciation in the workmanship when it had the last fit out over a decade ago. There was nothing wrong with George Square. All it needed was regular maintenance. Steam cleaning, cleaning up. Alex, right? So it's another excuse to spend money. And it's all lies.
Can you hear me? Is my mic still working?
I can hear you.
I'll tell you, it's an easy and clearer one than that. They've still not told anybody what statues they're bringing back. So they've emptied out all those dozen or so statues out of that square, and then they've not told us how they'll decide or who will decide what comes back in.
Well, I know where a lot of them are stored, Craig, and I know that they won't be back because I've seen how they're stored. And the way that they're stored, that they've got no intention of reinstating them because some of them are lying on their side.
Aye, they've been.
right?
I just
And they're
cover something here.
damaged.
Angela put this up about 5-6 minutes ago, and I just want to ask her something about it. Did you put that comment up, Angela, while I was talking about the hotel I was in Dundee, and you've been able to work it out as a local? You've said, yeah, my friend's aunt stays near there. Busload men came a couple of days ago. If that is, do one of two things. Either jump into the studio and tell us a bit more about it, or if you could leave some more comments, please, because I got a funny feeling that's what you were talking about. So, aye, Alex, you were saying?
I'm just saying that they're a very, very dishonest council. I know a lot of people in it, and that you know that they can't wait to leave. They're coming to the end of their tether. They're coming to the end of their, you know, their working life, and they can't wait to get out the door. They're held over by contractual pension agreements and stuff like that. And if they walk, they lose fortunes. I understand why they're staying. They don't want to be part of it. There'll be a lot of whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork in the next couple of years that will be happy to throw people under the bus. The corruption in that council's on an astronomical level. They've got a diabolical track record of addressing anything. Half of the city is subpar accommodation, you know, and it's really, really, really gone well beyond the threshold of what's acceptable. So where is all the money going? Where is all the council tax went? The Glasgow roads are amongst some of the worst roads in Europe. Street lighting, crime, everything. The failure to service the soakaway system in the city, the drains, everything and anything. And they're tied to Scottish Water and those things, but they all work together. It's maintenance, and the city's not had any. That's why it's a very grimy, dirty, greasy city. Just walk through it. It's disgusting. The weeds are a metre high at the roadsides. All the underpasses around the Kingston Bridge are an absolute eyesore. They're a disgrace. You can't drive through the city now, and you know it's hard to avoid punctures and potholes and debris on the roads. It's a diabolical city.
Alex, I was talking to AY Audits. He came on and done a wee half hour with me, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and he'd recently been up to Scotland and done a tour of the hotels up here. And while I was talking to him, I said, have you been in Glasgow before? Because sometimes I said to him, it's like when you've got your own kid and you see him every day, but an auntie or uncle see him every few months, and they, oh, you've grown up so much, son, and all that carry on. It's similar. What did he feel? And he said they'd been here 7 years ago and couldn't believe devastation in the place in that short time. But incredible. I see now Sean's turned his camera off because he was getting tore into some donuts or something there. But he must have thought he was off his screen.
Nothing was reinstated after COVID, Craig. None of the maintenance in the city. Only the flagship parks get the revenues, and I mean the absolute flagship parks. They stole half of the parks down at Oatlands. They boxed them off, and they're regenerating housing on them. Their parks gifted by the people, gifted to the people. They're selling off the parklands, and they're building and developing on it. There'll be nothing left. Go to Victoria Park and look at the state of the pond in Victoria Park. It's toxic. It's filled with toxic algae. And it's had no maintenance. And just go and look at the other parks, and then go and look at the flagship parks, like East Renfrewshire, Rook and Glen. Look at the money that's spent up there. The grass is like a bowling green. The plantation, the money spent in flowers, seasonal flowers. It's everything's by postcode. All the revenues dispersed and allocated by postcode. And all the parks in the East End are all defunct. All the parks in the North Side are all defunct. Down around the Gorbals, it's shocking, but it's so blatantly obvious how they allocate the money. And people like Susan Aiken should be facing criminal charges. They certainly shouldn't be getting a pension.
Due to my bail conditions, I want to cut this conversation about. Guys, can we just watch what we're saying about this? I don't want to get drawn into a conversation about it because of my bail conditions, right? So maybe just.
What did Sean want to ask? What did Sean
He'll
want
be
to ask?
asking about the Rangers. He'll be asking about St Mirren Rangers result or something.
No, I wasn't even going to mention
it. Go, Sean.
I've been scared to open my phone. Sean, can I ask you one quick question before you go on to your point? When's the podcast coming out on here?
be Saturday or Sunday, Craig. I'll let you know, bro. Right?
Right.
I'll ask Alex this first, right? Alex, see when I was a wee guy, right? I used to go down to the ponds and stuff, right? And there used to be hundreds and hundreds of tadpoles, like hundreds of them. I don't see that anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time I've seen.
No, you won't see it because the water quality is now not what it was, and the aquaculture. So every pond had a park keeper, right? Like Barshore was a famous pond, and all the park keepers had a job to do. What's all that background noise?
I don't know. I'm turning muting.
It's actually Fiona, my missus, on the hanging out
Tell it to calm down. All the parks used to have park keepers, right? So they done away with all of those jobs to save revenues. They done away with all of that expertise. All the plants for planting all the floral boxes, everything, all the grounds, all the gardens were all reared by hand from seed. That was a skill set. All of that's been done away. Generations and generations of true park keepers with a skill set that gave us some of the most beautiful parks, you know, in the whole of the country. It's all gone because they restructured their budgets and they've done away with all that. Now all you have is guys that go around spraying weed killer off the back of a quad, highly toxic paraquat, stuff that's extremely toxic to the water table, to the river systems, to everything. Hence all the streams. Glasgow had one of the most polluted burns in the whole of Europe, called the Mollendiner Burn. Mollendiner's now tunnelled beneath the city. It's a famous stream, and most people don't even know of its existence. And at one point, you couldn't even touch the water. It was that toxic. But it's been cleaned up over the years, but it's still nowhere near what it should be. So the Kelvin, all of these rivers are all suffering because of what's running into them. The drain system, the rainwater system that would soak away the city. That's why the city floods now, because everything's filled with silt. These organisations like Scottish Water, they're saving tens, hundreds of millions by not doing the maintenance. And that's why the city floods. The city's gone, Sean, right? The city is gone. It will never, ever be a nice city again in our lifetime. Never again will it be. It will become way more violent and way more destitute than it's ever been known. We're going back to Victorian times. We're going back to the tenements and the Gorbals, the coffin ships, the influx of Irish immigrants. That's what we're going back to. People living in squalid destitution, and it's all by design. Mark my words.
Right, we've got a room full tonight. Got a load of people I've invited in as co-host with me, but I think we've got our first caller joining us for tonight, and it's Johnny. So, Johnny, you know the rules. The floor's yours.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Johnny.
John.
Hear you well?
Yeah, I'm well. I just got to say, Alan, all your points are valid, and I live here in Knightswood, and our pond is, well, corrupt because a few years ago they planted plants in the middle of the pond, and lo and behold, now the pond leaks because I don't know. Let's just guess they drilled through the concrete and put stays in to hold the plants, and now it leaks. So we've now got a pond that's got no water.
So all the ponds are lined, Johnny, with a clay bed, and they've got a liner underneath them. So they've breached the liner, and the reason being they're going to then say it's uneconomical to repair it, and they're going to drain the pond off and cover it over. That's what they're doing. They want rid of all the Glasgow ponds because they're an insurance liability.
Yeah.
Same with all the reservoirs under Scottish Water.
You're so right. But we spent, I don't know, what was it, £4 or £5 million on the BMX track next door because we got a grant for it, didn't we?
Yep. My dad lives down that way. I'm down there quite regular. It's shocking.
See, the other thing I noticed, Johnny, when they built that BMX track, they took a really good wide boulevard road that ran from the road that runs into Clyde Bank.
Is it Alderman Road?
It really broad. You used to be able to go for there, right? And they took about a quarter of the road away to make a cycle track, and these big sort of rubber bollards and stuff, you know, maybe a foot high. I go up that in the bay once a fortnight. I have never seen, it runs from basically that main road right up to the bike track. I've never seen a single person on it with a bike, ever. And that was built, what, 2014, 2015, around about then?
Johnny, have you seen the state of Rockhill Park?
Sorry, mate, what was that?
Have you seen the state of Rockhill Park?
I haven't been out there for a while, but I can believe it's like what Knightswood Park's getting like. Yeah.
Right. So see the only people now that do actual parks maintenance. I'll tell you who they are. Community service workers. So it's the community service guys that do all the edging and all the park work and all the scraping and all the cleaning and all the cutting back of the bushes. It's the community service boys doing it. So
well, I've got to admit, Alan, a few years ago, I got involved with the clean up Knightswood Park, you know, sort of personnel that went around with the little clipboards and cleaning up litter and stuff. But nowadays, it's like a full-time job. If you wanted to do that, it's not like a once in a month thing. There's just so much for the litter, and let's not even get there why it happens. My point tonight, Craig, was your show so good. I wanted to ask a really big question here. Is we've won a battle with Epping, right? The judges ruled for us. And that's great. But Labour's now, through GB News, saying that they're going to appeal that. And if they don't get the right ruling, they're going to change the law.
Yep.
So what's going to happen from here on in if we can't get the law changed? If they want to, over judges?
Oh, Johnny, Basil had to go, so he's just logged off. But he was talking about this earlier, and he was saying that if Labour wanted to, they could just rewrite the rule book, right? So what happens next will be quite appealing, because if they don't, then it might be by design that they kind of fancy getting the hotels closed. So you're suggesting something that's new to me, that they're trying to kick back against this law change. Well, as I said to the good people in Aberdeen, we've saw 2 victories for civil protests over the last few months. And the most recent one being Epping, but before that we had the Supreme Court ruling on the Women Won't Least campaign, where the highest court in the land basically told us a man's a man, a woman's a woman. Now that was all down to protest, okay? And I was saying to folk, just keep at it. We need to just keep at it, because people say, "Oh, protest don't work," and that gives you an excuse to not go and protest, right? When your pals tell you, "Oh, I'm going to Aberdeen, I'm going to Falkirk, you come with me," they do work, right? Yeah. Not only did it highlight issues, which are very good at, and now we're seeing, as we proved with the Press and Journal, the normal media are actually starting to just tell people about protests in a fair way, and hopefully that's the first of many. So we just need to keep at it. And if they do move them into social housing, you protest against that, and it's not just protesting for the sake of protesting. It's particularly when there are a big clunk of fighting age men in a small area where the community has issues, and we've seen that at every hotel that they've covered in Aberdeen. We've seen it with the examples at Falkirk and at Epping and wherever else you want to go. I mean, I saw a stat, I think it was on Basil's Twitter earlier on today, where it was some mad stat about dozens of men out of this one hotel, all with assault charges. And that, so if hotels moving into social housing, listen, if it's a family from the Congo where there's civil war and horrible things happening to Christians over there, and they're here, and we can put them up in the house, and you've got space for these people, then that's a different proposition. To the reality is that 80-90% are not families, and they're male only, and there is a lot of impact on the area. So we just need to keep at it. The left have had the right to the sole rights of protest for far too long, and I kind of think that's what's going on with their psyche as well, and the way they're reacting. As they're like, "Well, these people are not allowed to protest. It's only us that are allowed to take to the streets." So we, the other people, the non-far left people, we just need to keep at it. and keep going. Whatever. And by the way, it could be another thing in 6 months that we're not happy with. Keep bloody going. It's your God-given right. Abuse it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call myself. Sorry.
Carry on.
I wouldn't call myself far right. I'm just a normal Scottish guy with a family and kids, and I just want that to continue for my kids. But what I'm worried about here, what I'm worried about here is that Labour's going to change the law. They're actually going to shift the tables on us and make all this disappear.
They might not. Well, we just need to get louder. We need to get more active. We need to get more numbers.
Exactly.
That's it. You know, it's kind of, we don't stop. We don't stop. Well, look, we'll get two more callers joined us. First came in was Excel, so we'll go to him first and then we'll go to Danny. So Excel, you have the floor again. How are you?
Houston, we have a problem. Very well, thank you. Right, I want to just report, I've been for a walk a few hours ago in a place called the Glasgow Estate. It's part of the University of Glasgow's veterinary faculties and facilities. Now, what I noticed was very strange. In the student accommodation was a lot of Middle Eastern looking people coming in and out, mostly women and children. So I think we have a bit of a migrant accommodation going on there, but unfortunately I left my phone at home on the charge and went unprepared. So I'm thinking I could go tomorrow with the camera and see if I can pick up any evidence and document the situation. That's just what I wanted to report. That's, I think, another issue.
So what you're suggesting is a possibility, right, that they may be moving migrant families into student accommodation on the campus of the university, because that's a big step.
That's what I think is going on, because, however, students will start returning around mid to late September, so it seems to only be temporarily, but from what I could see, it's mostly was women and children, and I only saw 2 men in robes, but other than that, it's all majority women. So make of that what you want.
Yeah, I think it's something that certainly could do with some more investigation.
Yeah, I agree.
Kev, are you up for that?
Sorry?
What's that?
I'm saying, Kev, are you up for that?
Glasgow's. I don't do Glasgow because it's too far for me. Big does that one. It's funny you mentioned that. I've been doing a bit looking into see the guy that owns the Cladden Hotel in Falkirk. He actually owns that building at the back end of that Calendar Business Park that I pointed out a few weeks back there. And that is actually housed right next to a nursery as well.
Wow.
And that's actually getting it's been given planning permission to convert it into, don't quote me, I think it's either 118 or 180 single rooms. So I'll speak to you off camera on this one, Craig, because I want to talk to you about it, but I'm not want to say it on the publicly, but that one needs to be looked at. And I've just found out as well tonight there's another place I'm actually maybe going to go out tonight, or if not tomorrow, another place in quite an affluent area in Edinburgh, Oxgangs. There's a hotel housing these people as well now. So look, whatever area you're in, do you know what I mean? Just like that gentleman Excel was talking about there a minute ago. Do you know what I mean? And you see these things, just pull your phone out, document it as you say, and just put it online. We've all got a part to play in this. It's not about one person doing it, but it's all about us all taking part and highlighting these issues. Do you know what I mean? So we've just got to keep, as you say, Craig, we've got to keep doing, we've got to keep doing what we've got to do, because we can't keep going on like this.
Yeah. Just before we move on to Danny, I'm just getting something flashed up. I can only get 10 people onto the screen at one time, and I'm conscious there are people trying to join. So if anybody's anything else to do or whatever, just we can start recycling people. So Danny, how are you doing? I think you're a first time caller. The floor's yours.
I am, mate. I am from the good old England, boys. It's some strong Scottish accents in here. I love it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, I just wanted to raise some positivity, boys. Like, we're making a move. Like, at the end of the day, I've literally been worrying about this for a while. With the immigration and stuff, I've got daughters that I worry about every time they leave my house. I've got grandkids that are coming into the world now. I'm only 37, but I ain't leaving. This country ain't changing for my children. It ain't happening. And I think and Keir Starmer, like, let him change the laws. Once we get power, we'll make his own laws. Like, we can play that game, and they want to be very careful at doing things like this, because it's not very easy to practice what you preach all the time. So let's just have some. Let's just keep it going. I live in a place called Wakefield. I don't know if you've heard of it. I went to my first ever protest 2 weeks ago, and I went again this week, and I'll be going every week. And I'm off to London on September 13th. I never got involved in protests ever. And at the end of the day, like, you can see the numbers grow. You can see that people are, and Keir Starmer, let him carry on. Like, these people, look at Angela Rayner, like, she's literally just been exposed for buying a third house of like 800k when they're coming down on people that have just got 2 properties, that, like, normal people that are just trying to make a bit of money and live and, like, make something of themselves. They just can't. The hypocrisy with Labour is just, they're showing it to the country, and the more and more that the pushback against us genuine concerned people, we ain't far right at all. You should be proud of what you are. Why can France raise their flag? Why can Germany raise theirs? Why is Palestinian flag more acceptable in England than the England flag is? Like, it makes no sense at all, and it's just an agenda. But you can see the tide is turning. You think we would not be having this conversation 5 years ago? Even 5 years ago, you talked about immigration. You were a racist, and it did work on the British people, not just in England, but in Scotland, in Wales, in Ireland. And I look at you as just as I am proud to stand side by side, an Englishman, a Welshman, an Irishman, and a Scotsman, because this is our land, and we ain't giving it up to nobody, and it ain't happening. And it is turning, like Nigel Farage, I think he's with it today or yesterday. He was like, for me, I was all for reform, but then you sort of started seeing him go to the centre, to the left a little bit, with the policies that were coming out with. Like, he wasn't bothered. I think he did an interview where he wasn't bothered about the demographical change. Well, we are, pal, because this is our country, and there's nothing racist at all about saying that the United Kingdom should stay predominantly white, British, white English, white Scottish, white Irish, white Welsh. Because at the end of the day, I would say the exact same for Nigeria. It should stay predominantly Nigerian black. It should stay Japan the same. Like, every country should stay predominantly its nation. Like, that is just not racist at all. And the left are being exposed with raise the flags, because look at what these people are coming out on TV with, and they're literally just, they're showing the hatred towards us and his flag and what it means, and it's just exposing them even more. And the thing is, they are waking more and more people up for us, because they're doing these kind of things, and they're doing it so obviously. Like the councils with the flags, Birmingham, they can't take the bins out, they can't do anything for the community. But as soon as any Union Jacks go up, or St George's flags, oh my word, instant remove. So it's like, it's just the hypocrisy that they're putting on show for more and more people to see. And I don't think that we just need to keep doing what we're doing. Encourage your friends. The more the conversation becomes normalized, the more that it will get talked about. I feel like in another 2 years, like 1 to 2 years, I feel like you're going to see a very stronger conversation about the impact of Islam and how incompatible it is with the Western democracy and values. You can see it developing. It's coming. And Tommy Robinson, to be fair to the guy, I've followed Tommy for about 8 years, and I have literally been bedded down by people around me that are just like, you're just insane. Like, you're not, and it's like, just look at it for yourself. We are, one thing that I've got to give criticism to myself and the people around us is, we're just a bit lazy on just looking under the cover. Keir Starmer, like, if anyone had looked up this guy before the last general election, no one would have voted for him. No one. And people would have voted against him on purpose. They wouldn't have stayed at home. But now we just need to keep reform honest, I think. Like, Farage has moved again to the right. The only thing is, I don't know if I trust him, if I'm honest. I just feel like he goes where he's very good at riding waves. I don't know if you agree. I
don't trust him either. I don't. Listen, the maddest thing is, out the three parties that are probably big enough right now to win an election, he's probably the least worst.
True.
But that's ridiculous, isn't it?
I get that, but it's not good enough anymore. You know what I mean? It genuinely ain't good enough anymore. Like, we should not, as the natives, be thinking, oh, it's the best of a bad bunch. No, we want the right bunch.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying. That's where we should be.
I kind of hope Ben Habib. I hope Ben Habib sort of takes off a little bit, because I do like Ben Habib, and I hope Rupert Lowe joins. I think Tommy's joined it. I think I'm not 100% sure about that. And people like Katie Hopkins, but the biggest thing for me is you can even see, like, I don't know if any of you've seen it. I think Tyson Fury did like a TikTok the other day of like what's going on, and that's a biggie, because if people like Tyson Fury are starting to talk about it, who else is going to start talking about it in the next 12 months? We just need to keep normalizing and raising the concerns, but the main priority is just staying peaceful, because if it turns ugly, you know for a fact that the BBC, ITV, all the MSM, they'll just label it as racist, far right, bloody BS. And it's not true, and we know it's not true. Like, I ain't got a racist bone in my body. Like, if you love this country as much as I do, and you live by the same laws and principles that I do, you're more than welcome to come to this country. And as long as you work hard and you don't, but if you're draining the system, you need to go. I'm sorry. Like, it's crazy that the statistics that you can read in so many different areas where it comes to burdening on the economy. Where you're not putting in, but you're taking out, the free healthcare, like, that should not be a thing. You can't go anywhere else in the world, anywhere, and not pay for your healthcare if you are not a born citizen there. Like Spain, you have to have your own health insurance if you want to immigrate there. Why are we so different? Like, it's not on, and it can't do. And it's nice to see Farage take that bit of a step to the right, but I feel like we still need to push what we're doing to make sure he doesn't just sway to the left too much.
But listen,
but yeah, keep it going though. Like, honestly.
Thanks, mate. Danny, if you listen to Farage though, Farage promised the nation during the English local council elections that as soon as the election was over, he would release the deportation policy for reform. That was his words, right? He had already been on an interview where he said, you can't do mass deportation, just won't work, right? And then we've been told this weekend that they're bringing out their deportation bill on Tuesday, right? However, the 5 or 6 key points on it that I've seen so far are not about deportation, but about immigration, because they're two completely separate things. Immigration is a tap running, it's bringing more in. And deportation is when you get round to pulling the plug to let the ones that are already here go. And all this stuff, and oddly enough, I'm the leader of the SDP party in Scotland, and our policy on immigration has been very simple for a long time. You set foot in the country illegally, we'll send you to Ascension Islands, and we'll deal with your asylum claim there. That would be a good deterrent, because you would only do that a couple of times and folk would suddenly realise France isn't such a bad place after all, right? Well, guess what? They're putting the Ascension Islands in. Nigel's thing, because you can't even dream up a good policy. Everything that he talks about is immigration, not deportation. So he's playing the double bluff again and being shooting the world. There is nothing in the 5 or 6 points that I've seen that are actually deportation, because they are two different things. Turning the tap off, that's immigration. Pulling the plug and emptying the bath, which is already here, that's deportation. And his stuff's all about turning the tap off.
I completely agree. I feel like Farage is definitely the master of riding waves. Like, he literally wasn't going to run until he saw, like, I think he saw a rally, and he saw that there were that many people, and he saw the movement moving. The problem is that we have is you just need someone. I feel this is what I feel like is going to happen before the next general election, if a snap one doesn't get called, because Labour are doing like they're even their own supporters.
Why,
are turning
but
on them.
here's the thing: why would you? In what circumstances would you end up having a snap election?
Well, this is what worries me, because a lot of people claim that they think that Farage and Reform are part of the establishment, like part of the bigger agenda and the bigger picture, which I can see it. I can see it. If he calls a snap election, he knows, like, if anyone
Who
calls
calls
a
a
snap election now,
though? But who?
well,
Right, I need to rewind to the
I think,
question here, mate. You mentioned snap election. So let's
I
talk
think
about how
Starmer.
that could actually be possible. Right. It's okay. So what majority has the Labour Party got in the House of Commons right now?
Oh, they have a not. It's a majority, but it's not like when you look at it from vote base. It's not a very healthy.
No, I know, but that's not how you count the seats. You count the seats.
No,
That's
I get
it.
you. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
They
they've
have
got a
like
massive
100.
majority, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So go and explain to me why, and the circumstances where we would end up with a snap election, because I can't see any of them. Perfectly honest with you.
Well, this is the only way, in my opinion. I think the only way that you'll see a snap election is if Starmer's like, because let's be honest, Starmer is up himself. Like, he doesn't like Rayner. You can tell he doesn't like Rayner, and I feel like he is that in himself and full of himself that rather than let them get voted out by Labour, I think he'll call a snap election because he's that kind of person. That's the only way I'll see a snap election, I think.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. It would take somebody with a set of balls to do that, right? And I've noticed something with Starmer. I've never seen him as being particularly inspiring, right? But the person I've seen as a leader of the opposition, and the guy I see in front of me now, who's meant to be the most powerful man in the United Kingdom, is two separate people. The body language, the stuttering, there is nothing there. And it's almost, and I'm going to talk hypothetically here, it's almost as if he's actually saying someone else's words.
Yeah.
And
like
he's really nervous. He says he covers his instructions as he should. You with me? So
yeah.
I don't believe he would even have the power to make those decisions. Right, and I kind of agree with that. That could give us, because I think that happened to the Tories, because they had about 16 prime ministers in the space of 4 weeks, not so long ago. And I'm sure one of them called a snap election just rather than get, voted out by his party. So that kind of thing can happen. But I don't think Starmer's the man that would do that. I don't think he's going to go nuts to do stuff like that.
I kind of hope it doesn't happen because we need the momentum to go. Someone will pop up. I don't even think we know who this person is. I think that someone is going to pop up somewhere and they're just going to take and we, because the problem we've got is with Labour right now, they don't want to talk about the real issue. The left in general, not just Labour, the left in general do not want to talk about any of the real issues. And the more and more they don't do this and they shut down debate and they do this online policing and all this and watch what you say online and blah, 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 it's just going to radicalize more people to the right more. That's all it's going to do. And the problem that we've got is we don't want to go to the extreme right. We want, I'd say my politics are more centre right. Like, I'm a nationalist, but I'm not extreme. Like, I don't want, but at the end of the day, how far do you think the conversation's going to be before it's, rather than stop the boats, it's going to be sink the boats and stuff like that? That's where you don't want it to go that way, but it's going to go that way because we've got absolute cowards in Parliament.
I'll tell you where I am in it, Danny, right? When I was up in Aberdeen at the protest on Saturday, I managed to get interviews for my podcast channel with two females, one who was Sri Lankan and one who was Polish. And the two of them were there for the exact same reasons as everybody else was there. It was brilliant to get one that they weren't bald, 40, 50-year-old, looked like a football hooligan with a nice polo shirt on to put a microphone in front. So aesthetically, it was two females. The fact that one was Polish and one was Sri Lankan was even better. So, but there was the Sri Lankan woman that I was speaking to, Shami. And I said, look, my fear is that we don't get what we're looking for with these protests and people get angrier and angrier and angrier. And where we could end up a situation is people like her, who are as patriotic as you and I, believe it or not, although she's an immigrant, she's been here for about 20 years. She loves the UK. She wants the UK to be safer and protected. But if things get worse, she'll just be viewed as an immigrant. And that's not the issue now. The issue is A, the number of immigrants, and B, the type of fake asylum seekers we're seeing. And I kind of fear that's where we could end up if the whole thing doesn't get better sooner rather than later. So that's kind of where that notion hit me while I was interviewing her on Saturday. I thought she could end up a victim of this. And she doesn't deserve to be a victim of this.
Oh, 100%. There is plenty of immigrants in our country that love this country just as much as you and I. Like 110%. Like the Sikhs are amazing. I know so many Sikhs that are absolutely hilarious. I know some Muslims that are very hilarious. The problem is with the Muslim faith, in my opinion, is they're not very good at calling out the bad of their own, if that makes sense. Like if we see a white British man or any sort, whether he's from Wales, Scotland, or England or Ireland, if we see like a paedophile, that we would literally hate him just as much as any other paedophile anywhere in the world, because that's just how we operate. That's how we think. That's how our values are. It's our culture. So it doesn't make a difference to us, but that's not what they presume. They're very bad at calling out that in their own little, like in their own groups, or if you want to call it that. Like Islam does actually teach them not to befriend Christians and Jews and non-believers. Like I've read the Quran, like it's I didn't like I don't want to learn it, but I wanted to know more about it so that I could be just more knowledgeable about it. And I actually recommend to everybody to read it and understand it. So then because I before I read it, I got a lot of we're a religion of peace, and it's like, well, when you read it from an outsider, it's actually not. Like it's really not. And I just think a lot of Muslims, it's not that they don't care or a lot of them don't even know that that's how it's interpreted because that's the problem with the Quran. In my opinion, it can be interpreted in so many different ways by different people in different groups of Muslims. But they're not all Muslims are bad either. Like there is a lot. I grew up with a lot of Muslims in my town, and a lot of them are peaceful. They've never been in trouble. They have the old-fashioned banter that now today would be called classed as racism or some form of discrimination, but they still have it between themselves because they can get away with it, but we can't join in, unfortunately, anymore, especially if you're in public. But no, I just wanted to come in here and just spread some positivity. Like I can feel the moving, and you can feel the conversation moving. We just need to keep it going, and you can see that more people are waking up. And don't worry about what Labour are doing. Yes, it's a long time before another general election if it doesn't get called, but there is that I think, like, look at I'll leave you with this. Look at how the police treat anyone that was from the United Kingdom, no matter whether you're Welsh or whatever, but anyone that was trying to do what we're doing now after what happened in Southport, and then look at how they treat the left, and then that's where we got the two-tier thing come in. You look at what's just happened over the last week or so with Raise the Flags. And look at that. Like, there's a beautiful clip in Manchester where some people have tried to put some flags up on lampposts, and about 6-7 police officers come to it, but the patriots gather around them and literally are like, no, this flag is going up. Like, and you can see them cowered off. They wouldn't have done that 12 months ago. They'd have just called reinforcements in and ragged you all out and arrested half of you. So, and this is why they were scared. They were scared of the ethnicity kickoffs. And I think now they're realizing that the people of this nation are actually awake, and a lot more. There's a lot more of us than there is of anybody else right now. And you need to sort of calm that hand down and realize that we are who you work for, within the reason, obviously. Like, you've got to be fair. But I feel like you can see the heavy-handedness has got a lot softer from 12 months ago. So you can see in so many different ways that the pendulum is swinging and it's coming back. And it's just because we got complacent, to be honest. And we let people infiltrate certain areas of his structure that have used it to their advantage and to bend it to their will. But we're waking up to it. And there is time to save Britain. While ever we be and while ever we're here, we'll always fight for it. And Starmer will realise that eventually, probably when he's no longer in Parliament, because he's not a politician, he's a bloody human rights lawyer. But at the end of the day, there is hope, and you can see it moving. Let's just keep it peaceful even if like they're trying to provoke you, let's just keep it peaceful, because I feel like if we can keep that part of the movement going, where it's just peaceful but getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, there's no stopping it. Like, it's going to happen, and we will get what we need and what we want eventually. Like, let's hope reform are the answer, but I do feel like something else is going to come in the direction. End of the day, I don't understand Farage, to be honest, in a way, because the mainstream media are never going to back him. They're always going to slate him. So just forget him. Donald Trump, look at Donald Trump. He literally just said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do. There, and there with these problems. This is my solution. Vote for me or don't. And he just went round and promoted it. And guess what? They backed him. Is it the Holland guy? Is it Geert Wilders? He did exactly the same thing. So you can't tell me that you've got to sugarcoat to get some lefty votes. If you just are honest about what you are going to do and you implement it, that's why I've got to give Trump his credit. Yeah, he's probably not the most, like, he's not the most cleanest of guys, but who is? No one's perfect. But at least you cannot tell me that he hasn't gone in there and he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do for the American people. His job isn't to appease everyone else in the world. He was voted in to make America great again, and that's what he's doing. And we need the same thing. We just need someone with a backbone, a big British heart that cares about it's what we care about, and he'll win. He'll win. It doesn't matter. He'll just win, because people, if it's authentic and there's no BS there. But the thing with Farage is I just don't trust him. But I'm hoping that something just pops along that we can all get behind, and it will come. I promise you, it will come. We just got to keep going. But I need to go. But thank you for having me.
You come up for breath, mate.
Yeah, and have a great evening.
You too, buddy. Welcome anytime you're passing. Sean, I've got a few people joined before Sean's came back in and out, but Sean's been in and out. I think he might be having some IT problems. So we'll give Sean the floor first, and then we've got Bobby, and then, well, two Bobbies. So I will need to refer to one as Fat Bobby, and the other one is Bobby. So, Sean, how are you, buddy?
Good, guys. Good, man. Good to see you. So no, I don't know what's happening here. Like, my computer's broke. Like my laptop, I've got absolutely no Wi-Fi on it for some reason. And then I'm jumping on with my phone, so I keep jumping in and out. It's a nightmare. But good, mates. Everything's all good. I've looked forward to the podcast going out the weekend. And I've kind of, like, just for my own I've decided to kind of leave the last section out, Craig. Purely because I think it takes a lot of the stuff that we did. Obviously, we I don't know what I'd ruin the podcast for people, because I think it's a really good debate. But I think the last section, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I don't think it was needed. So I think I'll take that last half
Sean, we both said our own points of view on something, right? On a topic that actually bores me senseless. And I know that maybe sound harsh because of the topic, right? But, and then you even consider the amount of other things that are going similar to it or in the world that nobody gives even an inch of newspaper space to. And you just go, why this one? Do you know what I mean? And it was, and I'm not saying it was bad what we're talking, because we both had very valid opinions. There was just slightly different opinions, and nobody knows whose opinions, right? Because that's all they are opinions. They're no facts, they're just opinions. And I enjoyed it. But it's just a topic that I just go, and I do get drawn into it now and again, and I go, oh, there you go again, right?
No,
I'd rather
I
be
think
talking
that's
about
what
Scotland.
happened. I think that was just, I think it was like, because I'd kind of made sure, I'd kind of went, no, I'm not going there. Like, that was because there's no point. I feel as if it's divides us, and we're divided enough. I mean, obviously you guys will know, like, well, I think some of you will know that I'm kind of moderate socialist. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of moderate left wing, but I certainly agree with a lot of the stuff Craig says, and I don't disagree with. There's a problem with the migration stuff and that. I see things differently. I'm a bit of a mad conspiracy theorist with things, you know. I go a wee bit kind of hangy, but it's no, it's, the podcast with me and Craig's just good because it's two different people. But we probably agree on a lot more than what we disagree on, and I think it's the whole thing is we need to come together quickly, because whether I'm right in saying it's a manufactured immigration that they're doing, it's a manufactured, or anybody's right, it's moving fast, and it's causing a lot of problems. And I don't think it's the question to say we're close to maybe not a civil war, but we're certainly close to some things tipping, and we need to be careful. Do you know what I mean? Because it's, as soon as that goes, I think that's when we start getting the digital ID. I don't know if you. What did you think of that video I sent you, Craig, with Jordan Peterson?
I watched a wee bit of me. I've been running about for yesterday morning, before 9 o'clock. I've been almost in my car. I went from there to Knightswood to Stirling to Aberdeen to Dundee, from Dundee to Perth to Knightswood to Glasgow. So I've been running about mad. So I've not really. I just watched. I went, I think I've seen this one before. So I've not really watched the whole thing, to be honest with you. But that's no, because I'm not interested. I do like Peterson. I think he's a good, great talker and intelligent.
It's only like it's a minute and 24 seconds. He's on Theo Vaughan's podcast, and what he's basically saying is like he's talking about what's happening in China at the moment, and he's just obviously saying how bad it is over there at the moment, and how he thinks that it could be coming over here with some of the stuff. He's obviously talking about Canada. And obviously he's talking about, so what they're obviously doing, it's a credit system and stuff like that, and you'll get fined. And if you get fined, you basically, like, at that time when you get fined, they'll take it out your bank account there and then at that time. And basically, like, if you're jaywalking...
Sean, see, this is the thing that really blows my mind, right? There's all these countries that are meant to have their own independent governments, and every country's got slightly different ideas, right?
Yeah.
And then you get something like the Gender Recognition Act, and you go, we've got a Hollywood that's absolutely bonkers even considering this. But then you go, oh, wait a minute, they're doing it in Canada, and they've got the same in Australia. You go, well, that's not that cannot be coincidence that all these people in independently run governments are all having the same point at the same time. And then you take what you're talking about, and it sounds like very this sort of carbon credits and all that sort of stuff, and you go, well, other people are talking about all this stuff. How are all these countries on different, even in different continents of the world, all having the same thoughts at the same time? That's just weird. Call that conspiracy, call that coincidence, call that weird, call that whatever you want. It is bonkers. I just want to give you a plug in, mate.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Cheers, big man. No,
this is Sean's. This is Sean's YouTube channel. He's on Twitter with the same handle, right? And he's got some bald guy here that he seems to be plugging in his shorts with an up-and-coming podcast. But he's had some fantastic guests. And if you go to the videos, but I'll show you these long-form stuff, right? Some of them that are pals of mine, some of them that I've had on my show. There's Alex that we had in here just up to maybe 10-15 minutes ago. Tommy Ross, another guy that I've done 2-3 podcasts with Tommy. So we've got a lot of similar guests. Ash Reagan, somebody else again that's no stranger to our podcast. And I just want to do me a favour, Sean. I've watched a few of these a day, right? And I'm obviously the content of them, but I think you've put up about half a dozen shorts from our podcast that we recorded last weekend. What one do you think I should put up to show people? What one do you think would be the best one to sort of give folk an idea of the actual podcast itself?
What's the names of them? I would I think go with whatever. I would probably say the one like for yourself, Craig. Whatever one's going to kind of hang it. Because obviously, the podcast I always say when I get people on my channel, it's about you and it's about your stuff. So
I'll just play this first one because I watched them and I thought you've got quite a good you've caught I think in each one of them, you've kind of caught the feeling of the whole thing, where it's two guys who go on really well and have got slightly different opinions.
Yeah.
But make valid points. I'll play this first one just into the room, just random, and I can make an answer myself here, because this was a complete roast of me. But that, give me a wee second, so I'll need to line this up, go to there, and play. Oh,
fill that place. Now, here's a concept. Why don't we fill that place with people that are happy to do one thing? Take the book of devolved powers, don't use it, abuse it, bring every bit of power out of it that you can for the benefit of the people of Scotland, right? I guarantee you, in one cycle of Parliament, Scotland would be a better place, because we don't. And if anybody stands up in that Parliament when I'm there, and they want to talk about Gaza, they want to talk about Syria, they want to talk about independence, they want to talk about Elon Musk sending men to the moon, I'll be like with the big red button. Point of order. Not devolved power. So can we stop talking shite and spend 5 years abusing the devolved powers we've got with the one aim of making Scotland better? Now, if you're happy with that, I don't care what colour is that you've got on. I'll be your pal in Holyrood. But see, if you want to ignore that and you want to spend another 5 years talking about stuff that building cannot fix, I'll not be your pal, regardless of the colour of your rosette. And what we need is, we need normal people in there. Now, here's a concept.
Aye. I'm trying to find one where we actually debate, because that was me in a monologue. Let's see if this one's
none of them's about asylum seekers, not at all. And there was one that said there's 14 whatever, a number of billionaires in this country, and there's
I think it's 450.
Right, so it's like something of billionaires and something of people at destitute. I can't remember the exact terminology. And I went, right, but John, see if we had no billionaires. Let's say you've got a couple of grand in the bank, and I say to you, Sean, I've got this wee project, it'll cost us about £200 each, do you fancy it? You'll maybe be able to consider that.
Yeah.
But if I say to you, with 2 grand in the bank, it's going to cost 10 grand, it's a definite no.
Aye.
Right. So you'd need to have thousands in the bank to invest hundreds into whatever it is I think will make society better. Right. So if we've got millionaires, we could probably get them to invest tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
We're reaching close to 100 million. Right. But see the big serious stuff. Let's say, for example, somebody decided that, see what's happened over at Grangemouth, it's pretty shit. And I've got this product that site could use. And by the way, there is a product that site can produce that should never have shut. We'll go into that if you want. But let's say somebody went, I could put in £1 million into that and make that site work and give that community their industry back. Well, if we don't have any billionaires, nobody can put in 300 million. Because a millionaire can't invest that. You need to be a billionaire, right? Now, so if you have no billionaires, see any plan that you've got that needs investment of hundreds of millions of pounds, forget it. It can't happen.
I think, see, I get where you're coming from. My problem with it is like, so they don't pay tax. There's loopholes. They don't pay tax. They dodge it.
But that's you can't just say we don't have billionaires because the tax system isn't correct.
No.
I mean, John, look at the banners. None of them's about asylum seekers, not at all. And there was one that said...
So, I think, I was thinking of this, Sean, when I do a podcast and we just start talking, you're not putting too much thought in it. You're just two guys having a blather, right? But when I was watching these shots today, I went, do you know what that is? That's two guys that do disagree on some things, but they're quite happy to have the other one having a different opinion, that they don't need to... See, when you get involved with somebody on Twitter, for example, it becomes an emotional thing. You're like, I don't want that bugger to win. And you become a bit daft, right? But the two of us are just sitting there dead cool, just saying a piece.
Aye.
And I thought, imagine we could get society to be like that.
Definitely.
But it's not, and even when you look at Holyrood and Westminster, when you've got two guys, and the only thing that separates them is the colour of the rosette in my eyes, right? So one party write this, another party write that, and they've just got to shout at each other. And you go, we don't get shit done. And I was watching, what I'd done was, I had it in the car, in my sucker on the window, and I clicked on them and was just listening to them. I wasn't watching them. I didn't see you'd done some like visuals and stuff. And I was like, that's just two guys talking. But listen, I reckon there's probably 80-90% of stuff out there that we agree on. And even the 10 to 20% of stuff, nobody was falling out. It was just like, all right, Sean, that's cool.
That's
that's
the
and you're
whole,
like, that's cool, Craig.
that's it. That's definitely, you've hit the nail on the head, Craig. I think is that we're able to. I've got the utmost respect for you, and I've obviously said that, and you've said that. I've seen you've said similar stuff. So this is where we need to get back to, is just because I've got a different opinion politically doesn't make why we don't need to hate each other. Like, I really like you. I could go for a pint with you. I could spend time with you. I actually liked your company.
Likewise.
So why?
Well, you seen when we finished? We were standing in the street, Blether, and took your missus to phone you to remind you your dinner wasn't done. Before we parted our ways, you know what I mean? It was good laugh, good fun.
I know.
You what?
I say, take them if you want them. That's.
But do you know what I'm saying? It was healthy, and you're like,
I know.
Oh, and I thought about it because you just go and somebody answer a question, you answer a question, the podcast finishes, and it is what it is, and it gets put out. But I was like, that was like, and normally with the podcast, it's two people that totally agree. And you're like, well, that's just an echo chamber. But when we got to the stuff where we didn't agree, you're like, well, that's allowed. That's actually allowed. So let's put that shite to the side for a minute. See, this big bundle of stuff we do agree on. Let's say you and I were both MSPs. You'd go, right, let's put all that stuff there because we're never going to agree on that. But see this big bucket here that we've got? Can we just sort some shit out? You know, we'll get problems with drugs, we'll get problems with poverty, we'll get problems in education, we'll get problems in health. So tell you, Sean, we'll no bother talking about day 123 things over there, right? Let's just get the sleeves rolled up and get on with this stuff. And that's kind of what I want to do for 5 years if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, you know.
I think you will, mate. I think, and I think you're going about it the right way. And listen, there's I would love to have you back on the channel, maybe talk and maybe weigh somebody else for the left, or somebody else, like maybe getting a good debate with somebody else for the left. And again, I would want to keep it healthy. I probably wouldn't want. I don't want. I want to bring the art of healthy debate back. That's why I'm trying to do these podcasts. I've got a reform counsellor coming on tomorrow on my podcast. So tomorrow I've got a reform. No, I don't align with reform at all. But again, I'm going to go in with a healthy debate. I'm not going to go in there with full of hatred. I don't like. So I'm going to meet him for a coffee before it. It's not. There's so much stuff. We can all hate each other as much. Where is it getting us? It's just dividing us more and more and more. Do you know what I mean? And to the extent where, like, I was talking to John the other day, John Watt, and he was saying, like, he was saying to, like, some of the guys that were on the obviously on the left protesting, like, we're really wanting the same thing. What is he doing there? Like, what is really happening here? And I think we need to start agreeing on a foundation, and what I think we managed to do on that podcast was, we can disagree on billionaires and what you want to do with them, but again, that's never really going to affect us anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if, I mean, different if you were to get into Hollywood, then maybe that is something that you would be able to do, but it's only opinions. It's only two guys talking about what we think would be best for the world. But if you don't agree on that, we were quite quick to go, do you know what, we're not going to agree on that, let's move on.
But I tell you what's really blown my mind, mate. See, the two biggest things that have defined people in Scotland for the last 10 years, well, for the last century, particularly in the west of Scotland, has been football, right? And for everybody else over the last 10 years has been the constitutional question of Scotland, right? And it was kind of like, it didn't matter what else you believed in. If you believe Scotland should be independent, you'd be out here. And if you believe Scotland should be part of the Union, you were out there, right? And that was it. You were polar apart, and there was no point in talking about anything else, right? And football was kind of the same, right? Well, I've stood in protests with people, and in fact, I spoke on stage with a guy, and the guy after me, actually, I didn't come up, and he was saying he preferred an independent Scotland, and you're like, well, that's great. But we were standing, arguing, and protesting about the same thing. that day, right? And I kind of think that has probably been the most divisive thing in our society ever in Scotland, right? Was that, and it is a part. Do you know? See that visit to the polling booth, mate. It was the weirdest one in the history of polling booths for me, and we've never, I don't think, recovered from it, because before that, my relationship with a voting card was a secret between me and that booth. And I'd maybe come home and I'd talk to my partner or some of my family about who I'd voted for. That was kind of it. It was only the people who are the mental ones that we're talking about, that 10% that we're in now, right? We're in the nutty 10% that talking about politics all the time, right? Well, they spoke about who they voted for, but the rest of society didn't. We went in, we voted, and that was it. And then we done it again in 4 or 5 years, right? But when we got to the Scottish referendum, everybody demanded to know everybody else was voting. And I remember thinking, well, this is a bloody weird concept. Because nobody demanded before that at any vote in the history of votes. When you get into your work, well, who'd you vote for? And then have a fucking that thought out of it, right? You just went, even if you did have that conversation, I voted Lib Dem, you're a bit nutty. What are you having for your lunch, right? Whereas people, I've got family members that I've no spoken to since.
I remember even asking my ma, and my ma would say to me, don't ask me that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what, because your generation, that was, the booth, that was that, the voting booth, and that was your relationship with my voting card, mate. And I've not really, I don't think we've repaired since then. And I think it's been very divisive for Scotland and Scottish politics. And what happens, you and I both know that when there's an issue in politics, who's the ones that suffer most? It's the normal partners, right? And the Scotland is a worse place because we're still arguing about it 10 years later. Now, I'm not saying people that want an independent Scotland should not be allowed to believe that it's better and talk about it, right? I'm not saying that at all, because if that's the society we're in, then one day it'll be my opinions that people we're not allowed to have, right? So I don't want that society. But what I'm saying is, can we maybe put poverty, drug deaths, national health, housing crisis, can we maybe put them in the fucking front of the queue for a wee, just even for 5 years, right?
Definitely.
And I'm not saying we're not allowed to talk about it, right? But can we just go on with the stuff that we can fix, please? And then, you know, have an adult debate about it. That's fine. If you want to have wee flag waving things and like George Square, you can't do that now, but you know, Glasgow Green once a year, great, that's brilliant. I'll do that. Nobody's going to deprive you of that. But can we just go on with making Scotland better? And I think that's where it wouldn't be a bad thing, mate, because it's no working now. That's for sure. Whatever we're doing now.
And I think the more that we kind of we respect each other. Like, so see, obviously me and you going on a podcast together. Obviously I've got that Thomas Kerr on the podcast tomorrow. Like, I've had Tommy Sheridan on the podcast. I've had loads of different people like Tommy Ross. Odd people with all different opinions. I've had Alex and that on it. So I like every one of them are my friends, right? And I've got like, when I was growing up, half my pals were Celtic and half my pals were Rangers. And even when we were running about the streets and you were like doing whatever, like it was the way it was in the 2000s and that, these were back to back. You didn't think, oh, that was your Rangers when you were 15, 16, or my Rangers pals or my Celtic. It was, we were all together. Do you know what I mean? You were together when you were going to the dancing, when you were going there. So why does it change when it becomes like you start getting a bit old and then politics comes into it and it's like, I genuinely know people that are falling out now. Like people, lifelong friends that are falling out with each other because they've got different political opinions. And you're going like to yourself, come on guys, man.
But see pre-referendum, mate, but you're better than that. But see referendum, mate, normal people didn't really speak that much about politics. But that put it and it was weird for like how you voting. And I started answering people until the penny dropped. I went, nobody's ever asked me that before a general election. Nobody's ever asked me that before a Holyrood election. And if they did, it was a passing comment, and that was kind of it. And then it was like, we're going for a fag break. Do you know what I mean? People at work and stuff. Aye. So it needed the referendum. I've got really good pals, right? And one of them, I was nearly going to talk about your podcast when we were talking. Remember, we were talking about, and I said, well, look, people feel deprived upbringings and, you know, your Mary Hills, your
Aye,
Fossils and all
aye.
that, can
Yep.
go into good stuff. Now, this boy was from one of the areas you mentioned, right? And he had addiction problems. And then we worked together. And see, when I was working with him, you would never have known, because he'd really fixed his shit out, right? And he's got a lovely family now. He's got two lovely wee boys, and they've got a nice house and all that stuff, right? He's just, and I've not spoke to him for 5-6 years because of stuff I was putting on social media.
Yeah.
And he putting stuff out on social media. I was just, well, I'm fed up with this shit. SNP are terrible. This is pish, right? This is before my podcast. Just general stuff. And I'm going, is it really? And it breaks my heart, because me and him had a great relationship. I was his gaffer, right? And I go, after can I tell you last time, it'd be difficult now if we'd passed each other on the street. And I've got family members as this that I've no spoke to. I was at a wedding and the whole family were there. And it was just awkward. And you're like, this just came for, and I wasn't even active during the referendum. I was too busy doing all the Rangers protests and stuff at the time, right? And so it wasn't as if I was out in the street and making videos and all that nonsense, right? And you're like, and it really hurts me. And I don't think the nation has repaired since then. And we need to, or we'll never get better. Anyway, listen, I've got Fat Bobby and Bobby that are in as well, and I've been waiting for a wee while. So could I bring? And I'm not sure, guys. Just I'm not sure who was up first. So I think it was Fat Bobby, if I'm honest with you. So either used to, if you're still with, just crack on, boys.
No, put Bobby Busher on.
He's rotten.
I am here.
He fell asleep. He's too old. It's too late for him. It's a Sunday at nearly 10 o'clock. Bobby Bushy will be sleeping. Slippers on and cocoa. How you doing, Bobby?
Houston, we have a problem.
Oh, he's awake. Great, mate. Go for it. Floor's yours.
Right, guys. I'm normally quite chilled and relaxed and quite a kind of think about things before I open my mouth.
You still with it? Bobby? No, it might be my end. Fat Bobby, can you... Oh, he's back. Bobby Boucher, you still there? There's having some sort of problems with him. Bobby, Fat Bobby, do you want to come in and we'll try and get Bobby sorted? And we'll bring him back in a minute.
Houston, Bobby Busher's got a problem.
Yes.
He's going.
How can I help you with this?
Is Bobby Busher wanting to carry on?
Well, you're up there now. You keep going, Bobby, and we'll come back to him, because he's certainly having some sort of technical issues.
I was talking to a relative of mine earlier on today, and they get quite upset with me because I've become very political in my old age. And I was trying not to laugh, because one of the things that came up was the Grooming gang scandal, as we commonly refer to it. And he got a bit upset with me and said, "What are you worrying about the grooming gangs for?" And I said, have you had a look at the numbers? I said, if you assume that the numbers for England alone are correct, there's 40 years, 70 cities or towns, and in each of those cities there are 2,000 roughly girls that have been traded, abused, and put into brothels for general use. And if you go and read some of the evidence that was given out for the Rotherham report, some of these girls are talking about having been raped over 100 times. So it's not one rape per girl. It's actually 100 rapes. And if you start doing those numbers and add them up, you get 500 million rapes in 40 years. And how we as a nation can stand there and hold our heads up at all for anything and say, I'm proud to be, when you look at numbers like that. And our governments have known about it and done nothing about it, and hang their heads in shame isn't the answer. These people are actually worse than the Nazis were. I don't think the Nazis ever get 500 million people on the list. And that's just my...
No, it's Yeah, yeah. When you consider the amount of people affected by it, it's a bloody high number. Then when you multiply that with the amount of crimes that were committed against each individual, you end up with a really big scary number. And I don't think we'll ever know what the number is, Bobby, because somebody sent me a month or two ago. They said, "How long do you think?" And I kind of watched my works on YouTube, but the GGs. How long do you think it's been going on? I was like, I don't know, 30, 40 years. Sent me a newspaper article from 1960 something, which is what, 60 years ago.
60 years, aye.
Aye.
Well, there
And
you
what-
go.
it
We've
was-
gone over the billion.
Aye, but do you know, this is the thing, right? It probably wasn't even considered that at the time, because this thing, it was frightening when you read this article and the language used by A, the court, and B, the media, to describe this young girl who had numerous men were up in a charge against her, and the judge gave her into bother for her behaviour.
Well,
You're like,
we've had more than one of them happen at Rotherham. One of the girls, the police went into the house that she'd managed to get halfway at the house, and the police went to go and talk to her, and they arrested her for being a madam. She was 14, if that, and she was drugged, drunk, and being abused by multiple men at the same time. And my take on it was, there is no way you can say she consented to it. There's no way you can she's a child, for God's sake. And how the police could turn round and say, this is your fault, you're leading these men astray, it's just unbelievable. It's beyond sick, it's beyond humour. I mean, our problem as a society is we've become so broken over the length of this one particular issue that the only way we ever see, or I can see that we'll ever get any clearance out of it, is we need to get everybody involved, get them in, get them arrested, get them charged, and get them punished. That includes the police.
It's probably why it'll never happen, mate.
I agree, that's probably what will never happen. But we as a society need to look at all these people and say, you are a dirty, filthy piece of scum, and you're a problem that we don't want in our society. And that,
No,
you know, if
you're
it
meant-
turns out there's Scottish policemen or English policemen, I don't care. If you were
Yeah,
responsible
yeah,
for Scottish, and I think
I
a
just
lot of
think
people.
where it stops is where it would stop if you had the ultimate witch hunt done. Is probably why it won't ever get to there, because there will be higher echelons of establishment. I mean, we've already seen proof of that in a cover up. The one thing I do think is weird, and somebody was commenting on it on Friday, I think it was. It might actually have been Rupert Lowe. Like, are we getting an update about this one that been promised by the Labour Party? Well, fair enough. Like, we're going to have one, and then we're sort of, it's under the carpet already. So good on them, because if we keep pushing these things, these narratives, then they need to kind of respond eventually. Whereas if nobody questions them, then you might just go at 5 years' time. What happened to that thing we were meant to have? The historic inquiry, and it just maybe just never happened.
Yeah,
it's crazy one. So we'll get Watch Farm Scotland. Sorry, mate. You get crack on.
Carry on.
In fact, we'll need to Bobby Boucher's back now. But no, can you crack on, Bobby? If you've got another point, then we'll go to Bobby, because he looks as if he's back in. He's been checking up for a while. His IT
I was
problems.
just going to ask you if you've heard anything about Rajmir.
I met him.
You met him?
I met him at Manchester. It was April. The guy that was on the whistle on a lot of the Rotherham stuff and whatever. Same guy.
Correct. No, I mean, some of the stuff
Manchester.
Some of the stuff he's put out is unbelievably frightening, that our own politicians sold our girls for votes. That's shocking stuff.
I spoke to them. We were both invited to speak at an event in Manchester. I'm sure it was April. Me and, in fact, Krebsburg went down together, and I met him. What a speaker, what a story. I'd seen him on a couple of podcasts and stuff, but and you're just like, see if somebody went, right, just tell us what to do. He would sort shit out, right? He knows a lot about all the stuff, and he's no scared. He's got no fear. He's like, this is bigger than even my safety. I'll just say what I want. Hat off to the guy. You know what I mean? He's just, he knows a lot, and hopefully, think people like him And people like, what's that woman? Oh, there's 2 or 3 women actually down in England that have been really, really good with this for years. They deserve a place at these inquiries because they've been putting the shoe leather in, and they'll know more. And obviously, victims need to be there, right? And some of them are victims as well. But the ones that have been going and becoming sort of whistleblowers for it, they can tell so much more of the story, and the victims cannot be ignored. I don't make it sound as if I'm saying that. But a victim can tell one story, and that's Maggie Oliver, who I believe was a copper. But there was another girl, Sammy Woodhouse, is it? There's no so much stuff that they can tell a bigger and have a bigger picture, right? So, you need to have the victims there, but you need to have these people that have been writing about it as well, and it'll just blow the doors off it.
Well,
so,
now you're mentioning bringing the ladies into it, it does raise one curious issue for me, which is, in all this time, where have the feminists been? Where's a big feminist march?
See, this is the thing, right? See, me, I'm in politics and stuff like that, right? But these labels, I don't actually know what they mean anymore. I kind of probably didn't know to start with. So, and I don't know what it is.
I'm only going by the label they give themselves. We're here to protect the ladies and the girls. Haven't you seen them?
Well, that means I'm a feminist then. If that's what that label is, I'm one of them.
You don't need to be a woman to be a feminist. But I just find it curious that the one...
I'm going to get a t-shirt. I'm an 18-stone feminist. And proud. And feminists might not like that.
Well, they probably wouldn't, because any man taking any credit seems to go against their narrative. But I just find it curious that, considering their claimed aims as an organisation stroke society, their absence is huge. Not a word from them.
I can't get involved in that because I don't know. Maggie Oliver, Sammy Woodhouse, these people I know that have just been out there, busting their hands on it. They might be feminists. I don't know. I don't know them, so it's I don't know. It's a debate I'm not going into. I find it dead easy to fall out with women without even thinking about it too much. I'm not getting into the debate like
See, you're falling out with them already. They're all going to be looking at you.
By the way, here's the thing, right? It's all geezers on this show. See, and now look at the comments. There's hundreds of women in the comments. There's how many women have been on this show? And I think I've done about a dozen to 15 of them. One, and she's been in twice. She was on the very first show. She was one of the first callers. And that's it. Right? So see the woman. Get yourselves up here. If you're watching on YouTube, get into the description. You'll see the link for the studio. Give it a click. Right? If you're on the Twitter, I think I put it into the title. How you like, just copy and paste that, stick it in. And I'll throw all these guys out, all these misogynistic geezers, they'll get out, right, and give you the stage. But please, women, just get yourselves up, get involved. I tell you what.
Don't throw the misogyny word about unless you're wanting to throw the misandrist word about at the same time.
Well, you're throwing up the feminist word. I don't believe any of these bloody tags. But anyway, when I was up in Aberdeen, it wasn't half, right, but it wasn't far off it. Women. At the I would rather take on 2 to 3 men that I know than 2 to 3 women in a lot of instances, right? Especially the ones up here.
Does that say more about the men you know?
Possibly, I don't know. But that, do you know what I'm saying? We've got some right happy women, right? And you go, I would like to be trenches with you. So come on, get up here and get the microphone, woman. Anyway, Bobby, good point. I've got Bobby Bush.
I'll shut up just now and I'll talk to you another day about the 2040 agreement, Ireland. You get Mr. Boucher on.
Yeah. He'll be the best speaker I've had tonight. Watch this. If he can talk, right, because I don't know if he's had a wee drink tonight. He's normally all right with his IT. But Bobby, it's your turn. Please work this time. Oh, God. He's steaming drunk, isn't he? Bobby. He's obviously alive, right, because his phone's evidently moving, right? So he's not dead. So we don't need to worry about that too much. But let's go to watch Bam. Or his camera's off now. Bobby, you've got a free floor here. You come in and your mic's working and your thing's working. You just shout and you can have the floor immediately, right? Because you've been trying to go on for about 4 days, right? So watch Bam. Your floor, buddy.
How we doing, boys?
Bang average yourself.
Same, mate, same.
I'm bang average and moving north.
I was wanting to say, Craig, talking about the boy talking about the Rochdale thing and all that. I think, to be honest, mate, the whole judicial system needs a serious overhaul, because when they're getting these people who mess about with Wayne's really small sentences and just no giving them time that fits the crime, and most people's opinion, most people I speak to think it's ridiculous when these creeps get community service or short sentences for messing about with Wayne's, right? And they give people for petty crimes a couple of years in the nick or whatever. And I've never spoke to anybody who agrees with that, Craig. So the whole judiciary is out of touch, mate, and full of certain kind of people, full of people with university punters. Comes for a nice man, does send them to uni. They get into their lawyers and become judges, all for the same ilk and no other ilk, and they think it's all right to give these horrible creeps these light sentences, and I think the whole judiciary needs changed, mate. I think it's a big job, but it's just not right.
I think under my current situation, it would probably be stupid of me to say to him about the judiciary.
You're probably right, mate. So, but I'm just look at Lucy Conley. What they gave Lassie. Look what they gave Lucy Conley.
What about? See, when you see people that are bad to kids and bad to women given lesser sentences or no custodial sentences for things against women and children, and a woman who did write a nasty tweet, she pled guilty to it, she done it, we've all seen it, we've all read it, and yes, she deleted it pretty soon after, and I've no doubt she regretted doing it, not just because she got a custodial sentence. I think emotions get the better of her, and she obviously she took the tweet down before the police chapter to her, so she must have had remorse. When that person gets a 31-month tariff papped on them, and you see a Labour MP attack a constituent, and not only attack him, put him on the ground, but when he was on the ground, continued to attack him. There's not a custodial sentence. You kind of think, well, that's a bit weird, right?
Unbelievable.
And yeah, it's just, there's so many things that you can see. But, you know, talking about the judiciary, and I've deliberately spoke about two cases that are not in Scotland, but both Sean and I have had a guest on our shows who is a KC, Thomas Ross.
Yeah,
and he's getting so he's getting to the end of his career, and he's kind of thinking, bugger it, I'll say what I want now, right? And it's most entertaining, and hat off to him. But when he's telling you that our judiciary system isn't right, then that sort of trumps anything that I'm going to say anyway. If I don't need to say anything, I can tell you that this guy tells you that the judiciary system in Scotland is not correct, and there's a lot of unfairness in it. So yeah, and I think England could potentially be even worse. It's pretty damn mental.
Can I comment on this one here, Craig?
Houston, we have a problem.
Is that Bobby Bushy?
Bobby is in the room.
Oh.
Give me 2 seconds, Bobby. We'll hear Sean, and then we'll come straight to you, buddy. Right? Don't move anything, right? Don't even move your mic, because I don't want to lose you again.
I'll let Bobby talk, because he's been waiting for so long. So on you go, Bobby.
Cheers for that, mate. No, it was just Houston, we have a problem. The missus burnt the pizza tonight.
Oh God, get a new one.
Get a new one, exactly.
Not a new pizza, by the way. Get one that doesn't burn your pizza.
Absolutely. Right, no, I'd like to be Denzel's cousin, because I want to have a bit of a rant, if that's all right.
It's allowed, mate.
That's allowed. Brilliant. No, it's just about the what was going on in Perth this weekend. I just find it incredible with these politicians. Now, I'm under the impression if you're a politician, you would look at two sides of an argument and then discuss it, but what's happening in our politics is just disgusting. I mean,
Oh no,
Gone
Bobby!
again.
Oh God! Right on that, we kind of got just what you were saying, and I thought he was going to tell us about the SNP MP, him that used to be in the band. What's his name again? That's terrible. Come back to me. Anyway, he was at the counter protest. Not only was at the counter protest, telling constituents it isn't were wrong to be concerned about their community, right? Which I think is a pretty bizarre notion. But John Watt, who was at the protest in a pile of bobbies and mine, he got into a spat with him on Twitter. And this MP started having a spat with John Watt on Twitter, right? And trying to justify his actions. You're like, well, that's a bit. That's right. And the other thing I found was particularly bonkers. When I was up in Aberdeen, not only was Maggie Chapman there doing the exact same, because I was surrounded by people that were her constituents. Maggie Chapman at one point, most of the day she kept her back to us, right? But later on that night, and I've got footage of it, and in fact I'll get it now. She took it a step further. So just bear with me a wee second. Sean, do you want to say your point? I'll come back and once I find this thing I want to share on the screen.
So it was just kind of to what you were saying, what bans yourself. So I don't obviously know if you know my background. I spent a long time in prison. I was convicted when I was 19. Something I never done, but that's a whole other story, right? It was a fight that went wrong, and a boy sadly lost his life. And I spent 15 years in the judicial system, so I kind of know. I kind of know it like the back of my hand. And what you're saying is, I've got a really good friend, one of my best pals, who got a thing called a life restriction order. Now, this life restriction order was for a serious assault, and it was based on the fact that he had a long string of previous convictions that were like police assaults and stuff like that, right? Just daft things when he was drunk. He got 2 years, right? But he got a life restriction order. Now, he was just released there no long ago after doing 18 years out of 2 years, right? Now, that was for a serious assault. Now, I'm not trying to justify his actions. He wouldn't try and justify his actions. It was a serious assault. But I was literally in there with guys who were doing up in Castle Huntly. Now, they're treated totally different for us as well. When you're up in Castle Huntly, you have to mingle with them because they put you in there. It's like it's like probably a bit of a test to see where you are. So they are kind of set. They're different bits of the prison, but they're in the same prison as you. They don't see themselves as prisoners. They don't see themselves as like the way I was swallowed up by the system. I was totally in about the prison lifestyle, the kind of, obviously 15 years of that will do that to you, you know what I mean? You kind of become part of the environment. But these guys were genuinely very close to the officers, would go and stick you in, would be like the ears for the officers. They were treated differently. They were given totally different. It would amaze you. It would amaze you how cushy they get it. And I've always said, like, I cannot see what you were saying. A judge or somebody from that background who has never lived that life, can he possibly see themselves maybe assaulting somebody?
Yeah.
But to give somebody, I don't know, 2-year deferred sentence for some heinous crime against a child, you've got to, in your mind, go, I can see why he done that, because you wouldn't be given that sentence because you would hammer them if you, do you know what I mean? If that, like they do with other things, organised crime and stuff like that, they'll hammer you for it.
Absolutely,
that,
absolutely, Sean.
You know what I mean?
It's ridiculous. And see, these don't come from the streets we come from, mate, where violence is a way we are brought up.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got to be able to defend ourselves, right? So we're for a different. It's almost a different word. Scotland's. I get about Glasgow, mate, and you go to the West End and that, and you see the way these people live in the freedom they walk about and all that, right? Compared to when you're in a housing scheme, it's a different thing.
Definitely, mate.
It's a totally different thing. It's like two different worlds, mate. Two different worlds.
I think like we cover that topic quite a lot on my podcast. It's like, so I'll get quite a lot. I don't glamorize. I'll never get people on to glamorize crime because I've obviously like I've been out of prison 5 years now, and there's nothing glamorous about it.
No, absolutely not.
But I think like what you're saying is people grow up, and I think normal people that for housing schemes can understand that maybe a fight can happen, or like you can put your head in somebody else's like thing where a fight's went wrong and somebody's hurt bad or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You can say, oh, I can see where that. But see, when it comes to these other crimes, you can't put your head into that person's head because it's such a heinous crime. Do you know what I mean? So you go, I can't even imagine what you're doing.
Absolutely. But like we say, how can these judges and that think it's all right? How can they think it's all right, mate?
Exactly. They've got to have some sort of kind of sympathy for them, or empathy or compassion.
Empathy, mate. That's exactly what it is. Empathy and compassion. But what about the Wayne? What about the kids? Who's got empathy and compassion for him? People like me and you.
Yeah.
People like all the boys on here, I would hope, would have empathy and compassion for the victim.
Of course.
Not the perpetrator. Perpetrators getting none.
And it's like if I've said it before, so if me and you are for a housing scheme and we fought for whatever reason and it goes a bit far and we end up finding one of gets hurt, that happens all the time in housing schemes. But so people can put themselves in that kind of headspace, do you know what I mean? But it's unbelievable for like take that Hugh Edwards. The judge actually said, like, going to please give him like a bit of time to kind of. I've never seen a judge being so lenient in my life. Like a judge usually calls you an animal and this and that, and like some of the stuff I was called was mental. Do you know what I mean? So I understand it, and I don't go. I'm not looking for it to play a victim here. I'm not going like, oh, but surely if you call me an animal, you've got to call Hugh Edwards one. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to me. But
Sean, it's different rules for one and different for another, and always has been. Yeah. So different rules for us and different rules for him, and always has been, mate. Even when I was growing up, I'd hear my uncles and my old man talking about the bankers and that stealing off people. But if you get into a bank, which our kind of punters, if you get into a bank, you're up a bank, right? Then you're getting 12 stretch. But the guy sitting in the Bahamas after doing a bit of computer gear, he still is he's scot-free or getting a 12-month suspended sentence.
Aye, you see if you steal £1 billion and it's a white collar crime, you've good chance you'll walk for it.
Yes.
But you walk into a bank and steal.
I just want to, guys. I'm conscious of the time, guys, and I've got Nori to come back in. Back to was it Bobby was talking about the MP up at the Wishart up at the Perth protest. This was me in Aberdeen talking about an MSP that I noticed, right? So just watch us.
Hi guys, I don't know much about Antifa, right? But I've just seen over here there's an Antifa flag. There, right now, the woman that's holding it is an activist.
That just blew my mind, right? Because not only is she there standing against her own constituents at the same side of the argument as I was, where these people are all her constituents, and she's saying not only that, but I support Antifa. Now, Antifa in certain areas, I think, are close to being a terror organisation, and I say that with not small amounts of experience. I was invited over to Athens for a football thing by a group of Greek guys, about 20 of them. I knew a bit about them, but I didn't realise until I got there that the majority of this group were actually police officers. And they looked after me very, very well for about 3 days. And we were journeying through lots of that city. And there was one bit where this guy stopped a set of traffic lights and he said, "I couldn't come in here. See this next 2 blocks along and the 2 blocks to the left? I can't come in here with a uniform on." I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like Antifa rule this. I was like, "What?" And he started telling, I could do a whole podcast on it, right? I'm not going to bore you to death, but they're no very nice people. Anarchists, right? Now that woman is an MSP, so not only is she doing what Wishart was doing, and that is standing opposing her constituents with, genuine concerns, she's taking that a step further. And I'm like, these people are insane. And I kind of don't know, other than just stop voting for them. You'll never sit down. Maggie Chapman, when we were doing the gender recognition stuff, was telling us we had to reduce the age of allowing people to be transgender, because when transgender people are 6 and 7 years of age, they know they're transgender, so we need to allow them that grace. And you're like, you want 6 and 7-year-olds to be able to... And I watched a debate where, because a lot of people have been firing stuff in my timeline since I put out that video, and there was a debate where she went, and we should even consider even lowering again the voting age. You're like, what planet are you on? You will never educate that one, right? But what I thought was bizarre, right? She was born in Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, and she came here. And now she's telling the people that are here who we should and shouldn't accept to come to our country. Now, even if the people in a country are wrong about who they want to accept to come in and come into their country, do you know what? That's their problem. That's their decision to make, no yours. And you've really got a bad history when it comes to where your head is on the big debate points, right? You should actually just sit down and shut up. Because if you think 6 and 7-year-olds should be able to change their identity, right? And do you know what justification was? Because the guy, it was actually LBC, so the interview was obviously some time ago, because they're a bit mental, they're about Maggie Chapman's level now. But the guy said, but surely chromosomes dictate it. And she was like, yeah, but how do you know what your chromosomes are? Have you ever had your chromosomes tested? You're like, Maggie, shut up. Honestly, you're bonkers, right? And these are the people we've got. These people get to make decisions on how our country operates, right? And we've got people that vote them in. Now, those 2 nuggets, right? If we didn't have proportional representation on the list seats in Scotland, and she wasn't working for a nationalist party, nobody would ever vote for her. You might get about 4 people that, knit their own shredded wheat would vote for her, because the Greens are meant to be an environmental party. But I can't remember the last time I heard them talk about an environmental issue, right? And then you've got Wishart, who nobody would vote for that man if you sat in... See, if you blind tested your representatives wanting to go to Westminster, and you put 6 on a stage and you didn't know who they represented, you wouldn't vote for that man. So he's only getting to where he is because he had a yellow and black rosette on an election. And people who want an independent Scotland think, well, it's kind of the only route we've got. We need to vote for these crackpots. Some of them even know they're crackpots, right? But because the only thing that's important to them from they wake up in the morning to they go to sleep at night is freedom, right? And it doesn't matter the argument. It's, we better under independence. Could you explain how? Well, we just would. Independence is normal. And all these shite lines that they spell, right? Shut up, sit down, right? And just let's sort the country out. Because you'll know, because you'll never shut up about fucking independence. And you'll never shut up about trans and want to walk. They're bonkers, right? And we need to clear the table with them. We need to clear the decks. Get some adults in the room. But that's what I seen on Saturday. And you've got Wishart doing the same thing. But at least he wasn't going with the Antifa flag, right? But they're bonkers. And we need rid of them. And I'm not saying that I'm saying the Greens don't have any good candidates. SNP they might have a few normal people in there somewhere that could do good in a parliament situation, right?
They're hiding them well. They've got any good ones.
Well, I think they've had. Listen, there was 2 that we were talking. X of them that we were talking about during the week. Sean and I that were both had experiences with, and that was Ash Regan and Neil Hanvey, both who have served the SNP. They've now left them and went to Alba. Good people. If you don't talk about independence, there's probably not a lot you would disagree with, and that's not true with Neil. There's a lot I would disagree with Neil, but again, because I've got a decent relationship with the guy, and spoke to him numerous times. I've met him a couple of times. I met him socially at a fundraising event. I went out to his offices just before the election started and done a podcast to him, right? And there is actually, because he's a Republican, he's a non-monarch, all that, right? But I'm no. So, but I still go, you know what? See, for the good people of Fife, and particularly Kirkcaldy, he done a decent job for them. He fixed shit out for them, right? So, right? And Ash Reagan, she was putting her things through to try and help women that are in prostitution, and she put a bill together that she's trying to get past Parliament and stuff. And I invited her on with a chat about that. And you're like, even if you disagreed with that bill, you're like, heart's in the right place. She's trying to help folk, right? So I dare say there'll be some, but the Greens, no. You couldn't find. Look, that's Sophie Molly. That's the person I bumped into the last time I went to Aberdeen. Name's Ewan, right? It tells you the name's Sophie Molly. And the profile photo normally is Sophie with a cue ball has mouth with a belt and two what do you call them, washing line clips on its nipples, right? And when the Supreme Court decision was made, was actually standing beside Maggie Chapman, funnily enough, at a protest when the Supreme Court said men are men and women are women, right? Can you just please sort it out in the toilets, right? You go in there and you go in there. And was up there saying how much terrible things she was going to do to J.K. Rowling, right? Bonkers. Now, Sophie Molly had been put up as a Green candidate and was celebrating this week before. I think she was he was going to be the candidate for the Parliament election. That mental that the Greens actually had to pull the candidacy off him, right? And when I was up in Aberdeen, that was a fortnight ago, the first time I was up, I was saying to this guy next to me, yeah, he's the long hair and the dress that's got the megaphone in it. What's his name? That's the boy that was the candidate for the Greens and got flung. I went, Sophie Molly, but Ewan's his name. I went, that's the one. But what he does is he's into like women's changing rooms and Marks and Spencer's and takes like videos of them in the changing room going, look at you'll no stop me, and goes into like women's toilets and all that. That's the Greens. These people, up until Huns are useless, made a complete arse of it, were in coalition with the SNP. Scotland, we're better than this, right? We have genuinely got to be better than this. We are getting governed by cranks and vagabonds, and we need to clear every single last one of it. And see if you do want an independent Scotland and you're half sensible. I'll never decry you that notion, right? As I've said before, if we start telling people what they can and can't believe in, one day we'll get into the stuff that I believe in, and it'll be you can't believe in that, and I'd be upset, right? So we don't want that society. But even those people must go, aye, they're cranks. Do you know what? Let's just for one session or two sessions of this Parliament, don't vote for them just because we want independence. But see if you find an SNP candidate that's quite a good guy and you think, you could do good for vote, then fine, aye, have a wee ticket. But don't send us Pete Wisharts. Don't send us Maggie Chapmans because SNP told you to give the second votes to the Greens, right? These people are cranks. And see if I get up there, honest to God, I will not speak any different to them if I'm happy to share a building with them. I'll tell them they're cranks. And see if you want to get a presiding officer who does the button, oh, Mr. Houston, you can't speak like that in this chamber. I'll say, yes, I can. And let me explain why, Mr. Presiding Officer, right? I get sworn in here. I put my hand in a Bible and I swore in English. Everybody could understand me. But we've heard people coming in here to speak Doric, Gaelic, Old Scots, up to whatever, right? They pick a language and I don't know what they're saying, right? Because they get to use what they term themselves as their colloquial language, right? See where I'm from? We use the word crank, right? So let me remind you, that's a crank and that's in my language, okay? So if you're allowed to get sworn in using whatever language you want, I'll use mine when we're talking business. That's a crank, that's a crank, that one, that's a goon platoon. And throw me out, ban me, do what you like. But remember, the next time you're swearing people into this house, they're not allowed to use any language or English, if that's what you're telling me. And I'll get them right up on for 5 years. Sorry, I digress. I've done a kev there and go on my high horse. I went right off in one. Norrie, put your fag down. It's your turn to speak.
How you doing, bud? Houston, we've definitely got a problem.
Right.
Two things I want to touch on. I find it really alarming that there was a protest in Perth yesterday and an elected MP turned up and only addressed the concerns of one side of that protest. Now, The other part that I find really strange is I looked around when I was there because I ended up being a marshal at one point in it. So I was stood in between the two crowds, and I got a chance to have a look over both crowds. Now, I knew everybody that was at there protesting against like the illegal immigration, but when I looked at the counter protests, I could probably count on one hand, if I'm lucky, the amount of people from Perth that I knew that were in the counter protest. The rest were. There was one section that were from Dundee. Now, you knew that because they were under the Dundee Council banner, and there was some kind of trade union banner there as well. There was a mob for Stirling, and there was a mob up for Glasgow as well. Now, had they not been there, their protest would have way outnumbered what they had. Now, the fact that Wishart turned up, gave them a wee 5-minute speech, got a photo up, and then buggered off, without even coming out and, addressing what the concerns were of the actual protesters. That really does expose who's behind these counter protests. I mean, this whole thing is all one big. It's been done by design, right? Now, I'm not quite intelligent enough to know all the ins and outs of it, but I'm learning from the people that I'm listening to and your podcast. And, oh, by the way, before I go any further, the guy who Bring the Noise, he came up yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. I've got to take my hat off to the guy. Aye.
Don't say that out loud. Don't, honestly, listen, don't say that out loud, Norrie, right? His ego's high enough, right? And do you know why he came to Perth? Because it was the closest place he could get a sunbed booked on a Saturday, right? From where he lives. That's how you seen him, right? And he couldn't get anything booked in the North East at all. So, and he had a teeth whitening session booked in the afternoon. So that's how he didn't go to Aberdeen, right?
That's how Nene's could get into the Indigo Sun that day.
Aye, John had booked it so he could walk in it. Right, see what you're saying there, Norrie. One thing I feel about what we're talking about is non-locals turning up at protests, because I've been all the UK protests recently, right?
Listen, I don't mind the odd protester.
Aye, but what I will say is, right, when it's organised, because I seen a thing put on Friday, they're panicking, right? And it was show racism the red card. What is it? Something against racism, Scotland.com, right? They were telling you ought to be at Queen Street Station for 9 o'clock or 9:30 or something, right? And they're like, they're all going to Perth, right? And their bottle's gone. Because before, they would be the same people. I mean, John went to Perth, I went to Stirling to the farmers thing, John came into the Stirling thing, and then I headed up to Aberdeen, so we sort of covered it all between us. And he was like this, Craig, he went, by the way, John was going to come on the show, but he's henpecked and his bird said, no, he had to go to the movies, right? I hope he watches the repeat, right? And he was telling us, he went, Craig, seen him out on a train, he goes round and he's crackers, right? He's just put a mic in their face and asked them why they're hearing that, right? And he's like, I'm starting to recognise the same faces. And he went, and by the way, they're starting to recognise me. He went, but it's the same folk that were in Falkirk, that were in Aberdeen the week before, that were in Perth this week. And what's happened is, I'm positive, right, and I might be wrong, but the psyche of these people, and I've said it on this show before, they've got a wee wardrobe sitting at their door, right? And it's Saturday morning, right? And it's their hobby. They don't play golf. They don't go to the football. They don't go to the bookies. They don't go to the social club. They go protesting, right? So they'll go, right, Morag. And they'll put on the wee red, the wee black and white check one. Is it Free Palestine today, Morag? I don't think it is. And they'll go, right, and then it'll be is it boycott Israel today, Morag? No, Hector, hold on, I'll check, but it's definitely no, all right. And then it'll be the salt pit. Is it all under one banner today, Morag? No, Hector, hold on. Oh, it's anti-racism today, right? So it doesn't matter. It's their hobby. And some of them, I'm positive it's paid for, because the ones that are the trade unions thing, that's another whole debate. I could be an hour on this, why it's bonkers. I think I spoke about it in Sean's show. That baffles me, right? And I'm quite sure some of them are getting paid. Oh, yeah, I've just got a text, John Watt, I'll be in 20 minutes. What we'll do is, don't tell him, right? We'll let him come in, and as soon as he comes in, we'll go, right, folks, thanks very much for your time tonight. God bless, have a cheery bye now, right? And we'll just end it. Maybe ask him what movie he was at, and then we'll just cut it out. We'll do that for a laugh, right? Anyway, so there's this whole movement. So there's not an infinite number of them, right? There's a set number of them. And when you've got a protest at Stirling and Perth and Aberdeen all at the same day, same time, the panic's gone. And they used to have sold abs on protesting, right? It didn't matter what the protest was, it was just a different banner they'd lift that day. And now these other people, now I call them the extreme left, right? And I say, and everybody else, because you've got a lot of normal people, and listen, I've been at protests with folk that are far right. Let's not deny it, right? But the mass majority of people are not. So, they're like, their psyche can't cope with it. They're like, well, what are these other people doing in the streets? That's your thing, right? We've got to dictate what society finds acceptable or not. And we can't be having any of these ruffians now want a wee shot at that. Do you know what I say to them? Get it right up them, right? I don't care what your thing is, right? See if it's no asylum seekers. See if it's Grangemen. See if it's a man's a man, a woman's a... Whatever it is. Let's start getting right in about it. And the number, because I told them, I was speaking in May last year in George Square, right? And we were vastly outnumbered that day. It's probably a good 5 or 6 to 1, if I'm perfectly honest with you, right? But I told folk there, I went, don't get up hope. Because, see, the next time we go to the streets, bring a pal with you. And see, the next time, tell them I bring a pal with them as well, right? And see, the next time, what will happen is we'll eventually get that big that these folk will not be able to fit in the same postcode as us. And I said that in May 2024, right? And I'm telling you, have faith, folk. And now that we're starting to get some positive results for protesting, more and more and more. And let's just keep going, right? So get it right round now. Now, John's texted me, I think he might be listening, because he said, got to send me a link. Yeah, right? So I'll send him a wee link.
He's just messaged me just now, Craig, and said he'll be 20 minutes.
Aye, so I was going to end it, right, but I will wait for 20, and then honestly, I hope he's not listening, right, we'll just cut it off. Right, thanks very much. What movies you to John? Snow White, aye, great, have a great day, cheery bye now, bang, right? And it'll take about 3.5 seconds before my phone will go. Anyway, where are we? We need to spin this out for another 20 minutes just to wind up John Watt. I bet it was a great story Saturday. I think I said at the start of the show, this wee woman. So, how you doing, Craig? She went, I watched that. John recorded a podcast with us last week, talking about totally different things for Sean, by the way. It was great. Two totally different podcasts. And there's a bit where I made a complete ass of something, right? And I spoiled the recording a bit. And I put it out as an outtake, right? She's like, Craig, I was in tears with the two of you in that outtake. She's like, where is he? I was like, oh, he's not been able to come up today. She's like, oh, was I excited about meeting him? I mean, he's a lovely, a young man and all that. I'd just love to meet him. I'd just love to meet him. I was in stitches. He's a tadger, right? It's good. But anyway, where are we up to? Stevie, what's happening up? Steve, DGR, I don't even think you've spoke. You've been up all night. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. I did hear you right at the start. So between the two of you, could you tell us what's happening up in the North East? What's going forward? Because you're smashing it up there. You're absolutely, you should be a great inspiration for the rest of Scotland, to be honest with
you. Yep.
I will Saturday we'll go again. 2 o'clock.
2 p.m.
Back where it started.
Is this back at the one at the beach?
Aye.
Aye.
So we've had the Patio Hotel, we've had the hotel at Westhill that we were at on Saturday. We've had, what was the other one? Langstract, 3. Was there any more that I've not heard of?
2. There's another 2. I'm going to speak to John tomorrow and see if we can find the distance between, or the 2 closest hotels, and see if we can do one that we haven't hit before, and see if we can possibly march to the second one at the same time. Because that Perth one, I watched that today, and The march is a good idea. I mean, Epping, I watched that tonight, and they marched around the whole Essex, basically. So I think if we organise a march,
Falkirk are doing something different than Saturday, right? But I'll tell you what, see, just thinking there as you're talking, Stephen, that how this would really bugger up the lefties, right? Or the far lefties, because there is a difference, right? I think everybody's a bit left of centre on some things. And I'll tell you the easy one. Do you want a National Health Service? Because see, if you say, aye, that's a left of centre policy, right? So we've all got a bit of both in, as I believe. And that's why I don't like these pigeon notes that we put people on. Do you know what would bugger up the far left, the lunatic left, extreme left? Because what they done on Saturday at Westhill is, you guys called it to start at 6, so they called theirs to start at 5, right? So they then pitch up and get the prime seats, right? However, see if you do a march between the two, what are they going to do?
I know.
Are they going to go to that one first? Are they going to go to that one first? No, it doesn't matter. They're screwed either way. And honestly, I think that's a great idea. That would be brilliant.
I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. I did actually in fact, I saved it as a draft because obviously you come up to a lot. I think Kev's addicted to them now. We're looking for more speakers. I mean, obviously yourself, if you're more than welcome, you're now probably the most welcome Rangers man in Aberdeen. So
only welcome Rangers man. No, that's not true. I'm a close second to Alec Ferguson. Right, he's quite liked him up there.
Okay. But I was going to ask yourself. I know. I've asked Alex up everyone, but can understand the guy's flat out, so it's basically really up to him. If he gives us a day that's free, that he's free, then we'll go. Hold on, what's happening now? Got a note of some fucking idiot lefties talking about my burn on fucking social media.
Nice. Well, if that's where you have the argument's finished, if that's kind of where they're going with you, you've won the argument, because we're no debating anymore. We're up to nonsense.
I'll say it's that mental fucking trans woman that John interviewed outside fucking Specsavers and Peterhead. So
somebody that wants their sexuality respected has no respect for your kids.
No, sorry, I need to say allegedly trans.
Well, okay,
sure.
You know, even if they're sympathetic towards people like that ilk, they want them to be understood, but they want to give your bairns shit. Like Craig just said, you've won.
How does that work? Bobby's obviously able to type, so he's still alive, right? Bobby's all right.
I'm away, boys. All the best. And keep the faith.
Right, buddy. Good to see you again. See you again soon, I take it.
See you later, boys.
Bye, mate.
Aye, you're talking about... Yeah, we're talking about the crackpots putting stuff about your daughter online. But, Kev, how much good value do you have at a protest?
It's mental, honestly. I think every single video I've seen of the protest, you can hear Kev shouting in the background.
Yeah. Even in the car, you could hear him. You could hear him perfectly clear.
Right, so I've picked him up with my partner, her boy, at Dundee, right? He come in the motor. It's like, Kev, what's that? It looks like a wee toy megaphone. It's not a big one. Even weird in the Rangers stuff, and it was like a Tifo, one that the Capo would use at Parkhead at Ibrox, right? This big, huge thing I had. And so Kev's got this wee half a size thing of flash. I was like, give me that, right? So I took it off from in the motor, all the windows were up. And I went like, what? What's the right? Oh, man. Kev, that's not on. what a thing, right? I'm trying to interview folk who have cards up the road, I hear Kev shouting at folk, I'll smash you, you crank, and all that. Kev, he doesn't care. I keep telling him, I said it in a space, one of these X spaces the other night there. I said, do you know what he thinks, right? Because he was, without getting a too fine a point on it, I think back in the 80s, me and him might have threw things at each other at an old firm game, right? When it was a bit mental. And I said, do you know something, Kev? You think you're Danny Dyer in the football factory, but the reality is you're Danny Dyer at EastEnders days, right? He's like, shut you, right? He does, he's got the gazelles and all that on, right? And I think out of common courtesy, he's never put the green and white gazelles on when he's been in my company, right? I'm sure that's just a bit of a courtesy towards me, because every Celtics supporter of that age has got a pair of green and white gazelles, and I've never seen Kev's yet, but I know he'll own them. Definitely have them, He's different gravy, right? And that's what I was saying earlier, right? Kev voted yes at the referendum. Kev was a fully paid up member of the SNP for 20 years. Kev was in a part of the football back in the 80s that a lot of young men his age were into, the way they dressed and the things they'd done in a football match, right? Nothing like me at all, right? Totally opposite for me, right? And he stands shoulder to shoulder with me wherever I go. I didn't even know what football team you supported, Stevie. I just seen you surrounded with Union Jacks every photo I've ever seen you, and I thought, he must be a mad prod. No, he's not. He's a Spurs fan, right? And you're like, it doesn't matter. And then when we're up at Peterhead, and the guy was up talking about Scotland and independence and stuff, and I was like, he's a nationalist. But it wasn't part of the interview. Can you speak? Aye. Are you a unionist? Aye. Right, you can speak. Nobody cares. And it doesn't matter. And I think we're actually breaking this thing. Do you know what I mean? And a wee boy, one of the best stories with all this, when we were at the one at the beach hotel, that one, fortnight ago, the gun platoon started playing records, right? And I can't remember the tune, but it was one of the tunes that football fans sing a song to, right? Because that's how football songs normally start. They've actually been records at one point. So they started this thing, right? So I started just whistling, and I've got the Rangers tune going through my head. There's a Celtic guy started singing the Celtic version, and an Aberdeen fan started singing about the Dandy Dons or some shit, right? And I'm like, it's cracking, isn't it? And that, to me, it was mass. I'm like, we're all in this together now. We just went, what's your that shite? Leave it at the door. This is a big problem. I don't care what team you're, religion you're, colour of your skin, politics. See if you think this is wrong. Let's just stand here and tell the world it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? And it's brilliant. It's so energising to me. It's no. There's a wee guy in Stirling. I need to tell this. Dave walked in the gate, right? He's like, how you doing, Craig? I was like, fine, mate. He's like, you and I have spoke before, and I was like, all right, where? He's like, on your channel. I went, what are you talking about? He went, I'm Danny Boy, BHOY. 67 or something. And I'm like, right. He went, and I remember it was a stupor sticker I set up, and you were having a laugh about the Celtic thing and that. And he went, oh, Christ, I didn't remember. How you doing, mate? And like, it doesn't matter. We're breaking all these tags and boxes people are getting put in. And that's the way it should be. Right? And see if I don't like you, Steve, right? But you're having a protest about something that I believe in. I've got two decisions to make. I either go, I don't want to share a stage with Stephen because I don't like him, although we're on the same track here. Or try to just put that to the side for a day and I'll go up to Peterhead and talk at his thing, right? Put that aside. Or do what these crackpots do, like that Katie. Stand there and shout against you. Like, well, one of them makes me sense. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, I'm getting on my high horse again, Valentine to John comes on and we slag him. But it is so energising for me that the people are putting all this shite behind them. And there was that joke I done about being a Rangers fan. I could never have pulled that after 2 years ago. Right, I think it's fucking ran out of Aberdeen, right? And I was like, I'm going for this, right? And it was brilliant. It actually was brilliant. And it's like the amount of folk that when I finished that were Aberdeen fans, like, big, fair play, that was funny. And other folk came out, I'm a Rangers fan, big man, well done, right? And it didn't matter. It was just a joke, and it was there as a joke, and it gets taken as a joke, and it was brilliant. And I tell you, there was something else I said earlier on. See for 2014, See the emblems of a saltire, bagpipes and kilts. I've just went like that, right, fine. All you nationalists want to own them, you have them, right? I don't identify with them anymore, right? So I've been like that for 10 years. And a lot of people have said, no, you're wrong. And I went, aye, but it's kind of, you know, if you put a kilt on, a saltire, and had the bagpipes playing in the background, you would not, you go, well, he's obviously not, right? So I just went, aye, they bother. I can carry on my life without these things that I used to really enjoy. But seeing Saturday when you had the bagpipes going and the drums going and I was like that again. I felt as if I was back at Wembley in 1996 with part of the Tartan Army. And I don't think I'll start supporting the SFE Works team again, because that's maybe a step too far for me. But I was like, I should be proud to be Scottish. It's not, that's not the sole, do you know what I mean? That's not the sole domain of the nationalist. And actually, it was, I was going, aye, I'm not saying I was wrong, I'm just, you know, you change your things, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm allowed to be proud to, I've been told I'm a traitor to Scotland for 10 years plus, right? And to fuck off down to England by people of different politics to me. I kind of bought into it, right? But then on Saturday, something went like that and clicked, and I went like, no, not having it anymore. No danger. I'll be that guy. I'm going to go and buy another kilt tomorrow, right? The kilt I had didn't fit me 10 years ago, so I couldn't tell you that is now. But do you know what I mean? I'm not be like, I'm a nationalist, right? And it was great. The atmosphere, you know, there's something about pipes and drums just gets you going, doesn't it? And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed my Saturday. So thanks very much for inviting me up and asking me to speak. It was most humbling.
No, it's no problem. Like that, honestly, since that independence referendum, I've been the exact same way as you. The SNP split us right in the middle. Yes against no. Unionists against Remainers, whatever they get separatists, whatever.
Aye, do you know what I feel sorry for, Stevie? I thought 2014 Unionists won a referendum, right? I don't think we did. And I'll explain you why. The no thank you vote won. But I don't think that was all Unionists. Because what I think is there's dyed in the wool nationalists out here, which was that size. And you get dyed in the wool Unionists here, which is that size. But I think the biggest bit in the middle are normal people who are neither, wouldn't identify as either, but could vote either way, given the right, you know, if they were put a proposition in front of them and it made sense, and they thought, well, then it could go either way and two alternate days, by the way. And they just weren't convinced enough, right? So here's the bit, and here's what I'm getting to, right? I don't mind people calling me a unionist, X, Y, and Z, right? I kind of like, aye, crack on. I like that label, right? I don't mind that label. And if I was a nationalist, the same, I'd be like, I don't mind that. But you know what I'd hate? See if I was one of the ones in the middle, and you're telling me you're a nationalist or you're a unionist, depending on what you tick in a box. I would take offence to that. And I go, that's shite for them that will be split. And everybody demanded to know what you... I know people that were in workplaces that lied to their work colleagues about how they voted, just to save face. And just to... Right? And these people tend to be the ones I'm talking about in the middle that could have went either way and could go either way again if they'd done it again in 10 years, right? And I feel sorry for them because we pigeonholed them. They didn't need that. They didn't want that in their life. They weren't that. And by the way, they'd probably be happy either way. They'd just go on, you know, they just go on with their life and want to work hard enough to get a wee holiday once a year, twice a year if they're super lucky. Do you know what I mean? A couple of weekends away. That kind of person, right? We need that. What are you? You're a unionist or nationalist, right? And it was bonkers. It was terrible. And I think now on Saturday I was like, I think we're coming together a bit here, right? And we're not accepting loonies in either way, by the way. See if you're a loony here or a loony here, you're a loony, right? We don't want you. You can just be loonies. What you used to do is go and find a field away out the road, right? And stand shout at each other, right? And the normal people just go on with the business, right? And making the place better. And I was kind of getting a bit of that as well, that I'm thinking, maybe we are getting to a point now where we can fix as a group of people. But maybe I'm just a romanticist there, I don't know. And he was getting to say before we get the king of the podcast, son with his white teeth and his tan, she should be due on any time.
Aye, Craig, can you make sure and ask him, see how you'd said earlier about the same people turning up at like different protests, right? There's a part in John's video that he made in Perth yesterday where he tries to go and talk to the counter protesters, right? Now there's no commotion, there's no, there's no like crowds rushing to him, there's no aggro or anything like that. But the police saw fit to escort him away for even talking to them, and none of them wanted to come near enough to get filmed.
Yeah, but it's strange. Listen, I've done it as well. I done it about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. I was driving on a Sunday to one end of Glasgow. Please tell me that's your man. My ears just beat. Oh, brilliant. Right, so I was driving, and there was a protest on at the police station, and it was all, there was three, I think, the Palestine Action folk had tried to ram raid a defence contractor and go to jail for enough, and these people were saying, oh, terrible, they're getting held illegally. And I managed to eventually get a love with one of them. But it's amazing when you talk to me, excuse me, I'm a podcaster, I'm trying to get an interview done with, what this is all about today. And the answer you get, and John's backstage, we'll bring him in a second and ask him, is I'm not allowed to talk. Like, you're an adult, you're here, you're free will, yeah. And that's kind of points to this is all arranged and the instructions going out and stuff. It's like that, you're not allowed to talk. So I'll bring in the self-proclaimed king of the podcasters. How was Winnie the Pooh, or was it Superman tonight? Spider-Man? What were you really saying, John?
It was actually, do you know what? Like, it was a new, is it Joaquin Phoenix, the guy that was in the Joker? He done it. No, you're thinking that that's how old you are. You're not with the times, man. It's the boy that done the latest Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. And see, to be honest with you, see when you know what's kind of going on and all that, it's basically telling you it was like Bill Gates and all that vaccine. I know it's mental, but it was just, if you go and watch it, you'll be like, mind blown. I'm sitting there going, this is telling me everything that's going on. Anyway, I'm heading up the road. My ears were burning.
There, John. I need to put there. I've got a time restraint on my account. I didn't know.
I've heard all this. My ears were burning.
That's not going to wind up because he knew it was coming. Oh, were you listening in? Did the missus allow you to listen to your phone in?
No, people were messaging me going like that. Big Craig's trolling you. Is the Wi-Fi all right tonight? You closed the window?
Wi-Fi's told you. Brilliant. Right, trying the curtains and everything. Put the blinds on.
Noticed Denzel's got a promotion.
It's been great show with you, John.
What?
Denzel,
he's got a promotion.
Hold on. Listen.
Is she still 30 seconds behind? Big Craig.
He's been all right tonight, to be honest.
Right. This is happening. Listen, we've got somebody in the green room, and I'm delighted, right? Because I put a shout out about half an hour ago for somebody of the fairer sex to come up, and we have Veronica. So, John, if you could just bide with us for a minute or two, I'm going to get Veronica up and give Veronica the floor. Veronica, how are you?
Thank you very much. You hear me all right, yeah?
Yes. We've got into this show. So I'm brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So what's your issues you want to talk about, Veronica?
Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Aye. Right.
Aye.
No, right, basically... Oh, I don't know what's happening.
Craig, you're glitching. Maybe it's when I came in the room. Craig glitches, man.
Can everybody else hear me all right? Aye.
We can hear you, Veronica. I'll take over for Craig.
Do you know what? Don't worry about Craig now, right? Right, basically my point, right, is the fact that anytime you view your opinion, right, and I'm going to take it all the way back to the migrants here, right? Anytime you raise your opinion, straight away, everybody hands you, you're racist, you're this, you're that. See, at the end of the day, right, we all want the same thing, right? We all want a safer UK, basically. Doesn't matter whether you're Scottish, English, Irish, Wales. Doesn't matter what football team you support. Doesn't matter what religion you are. We all want the same thing. But it seems to be such a struggle for everybody to agree with that. What's so hard about it?
Well, one thing I'd like to say, Veronica, right? I was campaigning about 10 years ago, and it took 3 years of my life, right, on another thing that I'm not bored you to death about. When I started that campaign, I hated it when somebody disagreed with me, right? I'm like, no, we all need to be together to win this thing, right? And after a bit of time, I realised you don't need everybody to be on your side, whatever your point is. You just need enough. You should forget about, see people that are just never right. So you actually just fine, no problem. Is that your opinion? Great, crack on, and just you crack on with what you feel is important to you. And I kind of think on the immigration thing, let's just take that, because not everybody agrees on everything, right? So let's just take that point. I kind of think I've been to the north of Scotland, the central belt of Scotland, I've been to Northern Ireland, I've been to the north of England, I've been to South England, I've even been to Cali and Greece in the last 6-8 weeks, and talking to the majority, I feel the same. It's not a hatred for foreigners, it's just got too many immigrants. And the ones that are coming that are claiming asylum will get a bit of a problem there because the system's broke, right? We've got a government that's told us in Scotland and Holyrood that we have got a national housing crisis about October, November last year, which means we don't have enough houses. And then tell us 6 months later that the demand from Westminster that they allow us to write our own visas because we need more people, right? Well, you're kind of that does, even in a simple arithmetic, that doesn't work. So don't feel that you need to get every single person to agree with something to actually make a campaign successful. You just need enough. Let me remind you, Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of this country, and he didn't get all the country vote for him. So even in the biggest issue, you don't need everybody, you just need enough, and unfortunately Starmer got enough, right? So just let them. It's a label. That's what it is, Veronica.
But we just need everybody to stand together and agree for the same thing.
You don't need everybody. That's what I'm saying to you. You just need enough. Right? It's in practice. You will never get everybody to agree on anything, right? See, if you got all the Rangers fans and all the Celtic fans to decide and tell you what Rangers blue was and what Celtic green was, you couldn't get them to agree, right? You would all come up with something different. So don't get caught up in that. We need everybody. We don't need everybody. We just need enough, Veronica. But that's my opinion. But my opinion is based on experience with me campaigning 10 years ago for something that took me 3 years. And we got enough. We didn't get everybody, but we got enough to make a difference. And that enough was only, in the reality of things, about 20,000 people to agree to do one thing, and we won that battle. And that, I thought we needed everybody. We don't. So don't panic. We can win it without them.
I get that. I totally get what you're saying. It's just, I mean, see for like say the migrants coming here, right? See if you're again legal migrants, right? You come here, you do all your legalities and all the rest of it. You're here legally, right? That's fine. Not got a problem with that, but there has to be a cut-off point, right? But it's the illegals. This is where a lot of people are finding the difficulty in understanding. It's the illegal ones that you're talking about that we've got the problem with, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
No, and I think everybody's got slightly different things, right? There's some people out there that want no migrants whatsoever, right? And there's some that go, well, like me, for example, I spoke to Sean about this on his podcast he's putting out next weekend. And I kind of can't get to the concept of having no migration, and I'll tell you a quick story why. Elon Musk wanted to come and put in £500 million into Grangemouth and set it up to build batteries for his next Tesla. If you had no immigration, saying, no, we're not having foreigners, then you kind of stop stuff like that. And I find that a bit bonkers, right? But most people can see the value in we've got too many because the whole system's broke. And the biggest problem within that is the illegal. And folks say there's no such thing as an illegal migrant. Well, yes, there is. As soon as you put your foot in anybody's soil, right, go through the proper channel, you broke a law. You're thereby illegal. And when you do that, and it's such numbers, and I've seen it from my own eyes, I've stood in the cliffs of Dover, counting them coming in, right? And you don't see a lot, well, you do, right? But it's about 80-90% are not women and children. I've been to Cali. I seen the video where I uncovered a place that was getting them all like clothes and stuff, and I videoed thousands of people. They're all coming, or trying to come. And again, I think I've seen 4 women, right? That's not right. That doesn't make sense to me. And the true definition of someone that's seeking refuge is someone who's in a place that's not safe for them. Now, I spent 3 or 4 days in Cali and Dunkirk and all these places around about there. They're very nice. They're not unsafe. There's no war going on there. So the minute you leave that country, that's a safe place, right? But when you go there, you've came to Turkey, because most the ones I seen when I went to Lesbos, they go to Turkey. That's 6 miles away from Lesbos. They then come into the EU by paying, it's about $2,000 for that trip to get into Lesbos. And then as soon as you're in the system, that's you're on a free ticket anywhere you want to go in Europe, right? But Lesbos is a bit ropey. I uncovered some seriously odd things happened to me when I was there. But it's not an unsafe place for people that are trying to find UN bases that I was trying to do, right? Because I was doing daft things. So that's not unsafe either. So I'm kind of, you're not a refugee. You're somebody who just fancies coming to the UK as an immigrant, right? And that's been going on for centuries. We've all known people that have went the opposite way and have left here and went to other countries as immigrants. There's a process in place for that. But what you want to do is you want to cheat that process. And you want to put yourself in front of the queue. And I tell the story all the time about young Baraka, who spent the first 14 years of his life in a refugee camp in Africa after his parents, before he was born, fled Congo. 14 years he was in a camp 2.5 miles wide until he eventually came here. Now, he shouldn't have had to wait 14 years of his life in a camp because all these people are queue jumping, basically, right? So, should we have asylum? I kind of think, if you've got a heart, you would not argue with the concept of asylum, right? And when you can help people who are in horrible situations, you would do it. And when I'm not saying you should have no immigration, but you can't just have, you've got to have limits on it, you've got to have reasons for it, you've got to have a process. And if you want to skip any of those processes, then you're illegal. But then you factor that in, the amount of them that are fighting age men, come to our streets, are women and females, are not safe. And now, even in Falkirk, if you're a male, 31, 32 years of age, you can become a victim of these people in a sexual manner as well, right? That ain't right. That's not right, and I can't be putting up with Maggie Chapman. They're all telling me that I've got to accept this.
Veronica, I'm always curious. Is that your major big concern just now in the UK, just regarding immigration and that?
At the moment, because everything else, I mean, you have to put everything else aside. Do you know what I mean? This is the main thing that's...
Well, you see, where my head's at, right? So I've been fighting this system, if you want to call it, since I got injured from my COVID-19 jag, right? And that's how my activism started. So that's, anybody wants to look at my stuff, that's what I've been campaigning for, because the amount of people that have been harmed by it. What's getting played out right now is it's actually working, because it's actually working in my favour, it's working in Craig's favour, it's working in many people's favour, because what we're now we're getting more people realising that the mainstream media and government are lying to us, right?
Oh,
so like Craig's saying, we don't have to, there's some people you're just not going to win with, right? But we're not going to win with everybody. It is, and we're becoming the silent majority now. People are coming aware of whatever, of what's really going on. So this is actually, believe it or not, and I know it's terrible what's going on in that, but it's actually working in our favour right now, because more and more people are starting to go, hold on a minute here, we're being lied to in so many ways, and it's a divide and conquer tactic. They've been doing it for a hell of a long time. And it was actually good hearing Craig talk about the fact that, the bagpipes and the salt iron, you've kind of let that kind of go now, Craig, because obviously 2014, you've obviously had a bit of, I don't know what to call it. I don't know if you want to call it a gripe or whatever, because obviously what you went through in 2014, but I've been programmed to hate that Union Jack because you're a certain football team I support. But at this moment in time, I'm willing to put everything aside to try and make this future bigger and better for us all. the immigration thing is a massive issue, but for what else is to come after that is where I'm worried. And for what else they want to do for us all, that's what's making us all come together, and we'll slowly but surely all come together for that. Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't come to that bit. But right now, Veronica, although things are terrible right now, it's hold on to that hope, because many of us are now uniting together, and all we need is that. The two biggest influences in Scotland, especially, is football, and those two football teams really need to unite. Craig's a Rangers man, I'm a Celtic man. Those two teams could really change, and if they just put their differences aside over a leather ball right now, it would make a massive difference. So I would say hold on to the hope, because 2021, I thought I was dying in my bed, and I was saying bring the noise. Now I'm going to many rallies, and at every rally I've heard now people are saying bring the noise. So for me, it's fucking brilliant, and I'm loving it.
Aye. No, see that's
interesting,
that.
John,
And
having
good on
watched.
the pair of yous. Good on the pair of yous, do you know what I mean? One Rangers, one Celtic. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you've got the differences. The minute you have a discussion about something, you've got, oh, he's a Rangers supporter, he's a Celtic supporter, or whatever. Do you know? And then it comes into religion, and then it comes
Veronica.
into politics.
I think, see,
Veronica,
you,
Sean put a post about a week ago, and he put a post up. I think it was just a picture of me and him, or saying, you know, if Craig in and we're going to be done a podcast, and it was right away you've got folk like, you talking at Hundy for all that minute, Sean. It's just you're like, shut up and sit. Just sit there. The joke bigger now.
I know it's like, so obviously I'm me and John have got kind of similar views, and I think what's happening, Veronica, is manufactured by a global elite, and I think it's a bigger picture. I think what's happening is manufactured to divide and conquer, and I think what's happening is they're allowing. And I think Craig, obviously, he can't speak too much about it if he's going to start running for kind of Parliament and stuff. But you don't want to be too much David Icke as well, and you need to watch what you're doing, because you'll lose people on that. So the way I try and see it, and I tried to explain it yesterday, is like if you can imagine a chessboard. So, and you can imagine like the pawns. So the pawns are kind of like the masses. That's the masses, the people who work 9 to 5 and don't really, they just want to pay their bills and mortgages and make sure their family's all right. And then you go a wee step up, and then you have the rooks, which are maybe like people that are involved in politics who don't really know what's going on and are involved. Like maybe like take somebody like Ash Regan or something. I totally believe she's a nice person. I don't think she believes that there's a conspiracy going on, but I fully believe that she's in that Parliament thinking she's making a difference. I think you go a step above that again, and then you start going to like maybe the Knights, and then the Knights are maybe people like your Mossad agencies and stuff like that, who actually are the people who will put in the divide and conquer tactics. And that's what's happening now. And I think Craig maybe kind of obviously, when we've done one of his trips, showed that there was a lot of UN buildings, a lot of kind of Davos plates and weird stuff going on, right? That listen, we can all sit and say we think it is. Then you go a step up again, and then you've got your big conglomerates like your BlackRocks, your Vanguards, and that, who hold tremendous amounts of money. They're the money keepers, and they keep the money, and they allow things to happen. And then you go a step up above that, and then you've got like your Queen, who everybody's scared of, and that's your people who you really can't talk about.
You need to come down that ladder, Sean. Now, man, you're going too high.
I know, and I think you're probably better staying in the kind of.
You're better just staying in the third rung, man.
Don't go up higher than the Knights. But I think what's basically happening is, I think even if you take like, I'll just take at the Troubles for example, right? If you look how embedded MI5 and MI6 were in both paramilitary groups. And we now know what they were capable of. They were capable of everything. They were doing absolutely everything involved in that. Now, if you think that's changed to any amount, I think that you've got to kind of relook your position. And I think what we need to unite on, this is only my thing, is we need to find a foundation, a basic foundation. And I would say probably like, are you working class and are you getting shafted? That's it. Don't go any further. Any of the rest of it's division tactics. Don't look into it. Try and take yourself away emotionally, which is very, very hard. That's the hard part, because the hard part is we all act on emotion and impulse. When we see horrible things happening, it's hard not to act emotionally. And listen, this is where they get us. But I think we need to try and stop that. But I don't know. What do you think, John? I mean, I'm only.
I mean, you're pretty spot on. I mean, this is the thing. When I go to these rallies, I used to do them before, and my emotions used to be high. But now I turned it into passion. And when I go to these things, there's no emotion with me. I'm not shouting back and forward with them, because I know what I'm doing is right. I know that what I'm speaking on is the truth, right? So I'm not going to change that. I can't change that. I say to everybody, one day you'll eventually come to this way of thinking, evidence-based now at this point in time, to say this is the plan and this is what they're going to do. You know, we can already look at, well, why is Glasgow City Council got 20-minute neighbourhoods lined up for us all in Edinburgh, Aberdeen, all your big major cities? Why? It's evidence-based. You know, they're telling us certain things out there. We've got the farmers all saying this stuff. Everything now is evidence-based, so we have to show stuff that we can basically say, yeah, this is happening. So, and one thing I will say, we have to kick racism out. There's no two ways about it. If anybody goes to these protests and you do see anything with racism, please do go like, going to get out of here. We have to do that, because if I seen that one in Falkirk, I would have said to the guy, mate, beat it. That's what I'm saying. So you can't give people the opportunity to call people something or no. And I've not seen anything at the rallies, you know what I mean? But it's my worry is, and I've been saying it, I mean, you take, like, we go back to the COVID days. It was actually funny, because that movie I seen the night actually was all about that stuff, and it was like it took you back, and I was watching it and I'm going, when you understand like the psychological game of it, it was like they were all wearing the masks, right? And it was like, so again, divide and conquer. You didn't wear a mask, and it was like the guy was trying to get in the shop in the movie, or you're doing this, you need to stay. So again, that was like, again, you know, put the fear into everybody. So when they ramp the fear up as well, we're not thinking rationally. When they do the divide and conquer tactic with that, then it was vaccinated, unvaccinated, again divide and conquer. Then they brought Black Lives Matter into it. That was in the movie, and I forgot about the BLM movement. Again, look how much division that was. And now, look where we're at now. We've got more division tactics. Again, Ukraine war, Russia, then it's Palestine, Israel. They're doing so many things to try, and it's like, no, we stay level-headed. We realise what they're trying to do, and we all try and unite together, because we all have the same goals. I seen a girl earlier on the day on Facebook, and she put up regarding the Saltire saying Scottish people flying the British flag, right, the Union Jack, and it was this whole paragraph, and I was like, I don't care. If people want to identify as British, they can identify as British. If people want to identify as Scottish, identify as Scottish. Flag I fly is a Saltire. That's simple. Craig wants to fly the British one. At this point in time, when I went down to a certain man's rally last year, and I seen 100,000 people or whatever it was there, and I seen all these different flags, and I seen the Union Jack, I was sitting there and I go, I'm putting everything aside right now, because my future and our future is all we all have to come together. So that's what I'm all about. It's all about unity for me, and it's all about coming together. And like Sean says, the emotion is what's going to try. It's hard to take that emotion out when we all know what's going on. We're all being gaslit. That's the main. That's evident at this point. You know, I mean, being gaslit, it's psychologically frustrating. I haven't looked at the papers today to see what they've written about us. And I do want to touch on this, Craig, regarding the hanging Perth, because I don't want to keep you up all night. But I mean, I hope that can happen.
Here goes again. The big John Watt show here. When you go, John?
No, just I get my point. By the way, Gino's only 5'5". I'm 6'3". Remember that?
Listen, guys, I'm going to jump in the now. I'll let you carry on, but thanks very much for having me on here. And
Thanks
take
very
care
much for
and
coming on, Veronica.
No worries.
We'll not be long because John's in the room now. He's busting my nut. I'm going to need to get to my bed soon. But listen, Veronica, seriously, thanks for coming up. There's not enough the fairer sex coming on here and talking. So thanks very much for doing that.
Well, it's the first
Come
time
again
I've done it,
anytime, okay?
so there we go. Right, take care, guys.
Well, that'll be. See you again soon, buddy. Thanks a lot.
I'm all right to talk about.
I'm going to need.
You need what?
Talk about what? Aye, mate, I've been on the go for 2 days. So I'm struggling. Wait, I only hung about because you text me. I was going to my bed about half an hour ago.
I wanted to just briefly talk about Perth, mate, and then I'll let you go to your bed.
We've spoken about it. We've already had folk coming up far more important than you talking about Perth.
I wanted to tell you about what I witnessed quickly.
I'd like to hear
that.
This
doesn't matter because we've had local people to Perth. No, we've had local people to Perth come up to Perth, and they're far more important than you, right? Infiltrator, you far right infiltrator, going up to these good places in Scotland and causing.
I'll make it as brief as possible, right? But there is a bit I really do want to touch on, right? You can do that.
Podcast. No, 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 stop me now.
What?
What?
Is it? Are you going to touch on the stuff that we've already shared about 25,000 times a day for you?
I don't know, mate.
You've been here 3 years. You've been here for 3 years.
I'm pretty sure I heard John Toll said he was going to his bed at half night. And he's still sitting here. That's because you came into the room, you know what I mean? Fucking big
John,
Gino De Campo's
I'll give you a bit of floor space, right, and a bit of mic space, right? But I did tell you about a woman in Aberdeen that was looking for you. Right, we need to put some ground rules out here, John, right? See if we're going to share stages together.
We're talking the football.
See all the women that are like, no football, right? See the women that are like 55 and over. That's my gang, right? All the women that are 55 and under, that's your gang, right? Now, there's a bit of crossover happening here. We need to get this out there because it'll annoy me. I had a woman who I think was in her 60s. Craig, I watched you and John's outtake thing the other day there. It was brought to stitches. Whereas I desperately, that's a lovely boy, that, right? And I'm like, no, you're meant to be in Teen Houston, right? So stop it, right? That's my audience. That's my bread and butter. You stick to your own, right? Now you can talk. You've got 2.5 minutes, right?
So first things first, Sean, when are you putting that podcast out with him? Because I don't want to overlap, if that makes sense.
So when you thinking?
Mine's is ready to rock and roll. It's just that I've put out the protest for Perth, so I'm kind of letting that one roll, and then I was going to put out Craig, but I mean I don't want to like overlap.
Are you kind of ready to rock the Mora?
No, probably. I technically could, but because the other videos kind of rolling now, I kind of let
them rock and roll. You go tomorrow. No, Jesus.
I'll put it out.
You're hard work, you. Honest to God.
No, because I don't want to take away there and people go there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at Lucy Conley now. Do you know what I mean? I've watched one with Dan Wooten, and then it's like, you don't need to see another one. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting at here.
I think they'll be totally different.
Sean's is better. Yours is better, Sean. Yours is. See what you done, Sean, is you do. See when you're interviewing people, you use that old way of interviewing people, where you ask them a question, right, and you let the guest answer. That's kind of how it works, right? John's like that. I'll be able to tell you this, right? And you're like that. I walked out and left him halfway through. I went.
It's a new generation, mate. You're stuck in the BBC old days, mate. This is the podcast, a conversation, right, with a camera.
Gino, he's absolutely right. I mean, you took the long way down to Falkirk that day deliberately so you could fucking bust back up.
Anyway, you know what I mean? Right. Anyway, we go back and forth. By the way, the bit with the outtake. See him just before I go any further.
You've got 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
See the bit with the outtake. I'm sitting talking, right, and then I'm trying to get a story out for like five times, and then eventually he goes, keep going, right? And you don't see it, and then he just walks away from me, and I was like, you see the wind up? Sorry for swearing. Anyway, right, back to Perth, right. So I get there in Perth. The numbers were decent. You
weren't in Perth, were you, John? Fuck.
Aye. So the numbers were decent. Now, when I got there, right, so we marched up and all that, and the thing that annoyed me was that there he goes, like there he goes. So the bit that annoyed me, right, was that I try to go and do the usual, right? I try to get in and interview the other side because I thought there's no way if they see me. But anyway, and there was a woman there with like curly hair, and she was allowed to go in between freely. So, and she was what is it she called? She was on Twitter. I think somebody shared her the day. I think it was you, Stephen. I'm not sure, but somebody shared the day. So she was in amongst them, right, and going in between. And it was like, oh, it's all right for her to do that, but for me, it wasn't allowed. So that was really frustrating. The numbers on the other side again. The people on the other side, right? It was the same faces. So, for example, right, there's Craig reading his own book. Jesus. Anyway, that's him trying to sell his own book. So the
watching the football here?
So the people on the other side, right? The people on the other side were the same faces for Falkirk and were the same faces for where else did we go?
Peterhead, Aberdeen.
Some were for Aberdeen and some were for Falkirk. But I've also seen the refugee welcome Glasgow one, right?
Mhm.
So see when I seen that MSP guy was in amongst that crowd and he's sitting, and now he responded to me on Twitter. That guy responded to me on Twitter and he said the people that were in that crowd were local. And I went, well, that's funny because the people that you're photographed with, I've literally witnessed them at Glasgow. So the fact that MPs, MSPs are actually taking their side already, it baffles me. It frustrates the life out of me. Well, you're supposed to be an MP, MSP, you're supposed to listen to people, you're supposed to remain impartial. True or false?
You've done well, John. You've done well, mate.
So when you're sitting there, but there's one bit now, Craig, if I go to your attention, there is one bit I want to highlight, and see for me, I actually get a bit emotional at this, right? Can you bring the video up, Craig, and go to a certain amount of time?
That's 3 minutes. You've had your 3 minutes.
Serious time, right? Serious time this, right? The one I've put on the deck.
Right, what
Serious
video?
time. The one at Perth.
On Twitter?
No, the one at my YouTube
Twitter
channel.
video?
No, I'll go to YouTube.
He's what he's doing. He's doing plugging his channel. Give him that one.
I'm not like
Come in that shop to say, hey, man, go and stick my video up. We can go and stick my video up.
In all seriousness, right now, when I was there, this actually broke my heart, right? And I actually get emotional about it. When I see an old woman at 80-year-old, 82-year-old, who's a pensioner, out in force, trying her hardest to get the message across, it broke my heart, right? See if you can listen. Now, when I interviewed this wee woman, I actually couldn't hear her because the drums were behind me, but it wasn't until I got home I actually got to hear what she said. But I mean, I don't know, Craig, can you get it up?
It's a bit personal.
Come on.
I think I know exactly what one you're talking about, John. I was stood right behind her when you were interviewing her.
John.
What's that?
Is that the old woman with the glasses?
A 41-minute video.
Go to 37
John.
minutes, mate. Aye, 37 minutes. If you fast forward to 37 minutes. Now, for me, this was like the day I was sitting there and I was like, this is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking to watch a pensioner, a woman at her age, out actually trying to get her voice heard in Perth. And I was sitting there going, this is just, I can't believe how broken this country is at this point. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, and I couldn't hear it at the time, but the thing she was saying, when I get back, and she's like, where's Keir Starmer? This guy should be here. Where are these politicians? And I'm sitting there going, this is how broke this country is. We've got people that know what's going on, but they're too scared to speak. And then we've got elderly women like that getting up off her ass and trying to do something.
I'm now creating wealth for you.
What?
Make sure you get a cut, get a percentage.
He's opened the fucking Wi-Fi again. He's opened the window again, let the Wi-Fi out. What is that? I mean, like, oh, I got it all sorted. I've got the top broadband.
You've got to remember, Craig, man, it costs a lot of money to get your teeth white and getting your spray tan and that done constantly, man. Know what I mean? So give the guy a plug.
You know, it didn't know working, Craig.
He's not tried.
Craig's back in 1990, isn't he?
Right, come up.
What?
Oh, hold on.
Can you not share it on the screen?
That's right. Right, I think it's just coming up.
When does that Wi-Fi kick in?
To be fair, it was all right on that until you joined.
I know, I'm thinking there's something going on, by the way.
Are you nicking his internet by any chance?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I get back.
I'm nicking his fans now. So he's like, I gave you a shout out.
Next on it.
He's like, I gave you a shout out in Aberdeen, and I was like, I said, bring the noise.
Where's the host gone?
The Wi-Fi's went down.
His line wires crashed. He's running on B-Sky B now.
What's that, Stephen?
Have you seen Craig's speech for Aberdeen?
I haven't, mate. No, I've just seen a snippet.
Like, he says, I'm going to give my good pal John a shout out.
Making the noise.
He got it wrong. He said, make
the noise. Make the noise.
And by the way, I said that to him in the car coming down from Aberdeen, right? And he's like, no, never. I said, bring the noise. I says, you never. You said, make the noise.
There's only one guy that can say bring the noise, and that's me. It's patented, man.
Oh, for God's
sake. The system.
I tell you, if you were made of chocolate, sir.
You would eat me. Jesus.
Hang on. You said we said we all need to get together, but I was taking a bit fucking.
I mean,
that's a bit too together.
But Perth, say to be fair, like a lot of people didn't know about Perth. There's Big Acoustic connected. What's happening?
Welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan.
My internet has crashed.
Your 10-minute moans in your Wi-Fi,
Just kid on, I'm not here, I'm trying to get this video up, John. Right?
That's what's happened, John. Your video was fucking crash Craig's show, man.
Definitely. But no, regarding Perth, a lot of people didn't know about it. I'm getting a lot of messages from people saying.
Well, listen, it was pretty poorly advertised, though, John.
What's going on, Fat?
Somebody's doing heavy breathing down the phone, so
you mute yourself, mate.
Whoever's doing the heavy breathing, just quit it. I'm getting. Right, is that it there, John? Is that the bit you want?
Aye, so see if you play for 37, right, and you see this elderly woman, and it was just heartbreaking, to be fair. Right.
I thought we're at 36 fucking 42, and you want it at 37, right? No, you're getting it
just
here,
leave it
right?
Just leave it there. Go for it. That woman was brilliant, by the way. See them, they were brilliant.
Scumbags. I have never seen a racist shit that are actually scum. I think it's all political. I think it's more political than it is to do with the human. It's a political. They want to destroy Britain. But at least we knew what we're fighting World War II for. We don't know what we're fighting here because these people are coming into this country. They throw away their passports, they put them in the water, and we don't know who and what they are. And you're not safe, but thank you very much.
You can't do it here, but this is it.
Are you okay, sweetheart? You alright? What's up with you? You alright? He's a friendly supply. What brings you here today?
I live here in Perth.
Are you a bit worried about Perth? Are you a bit worried about Perth recently?
Yes.
What makes you?
When you get in the street, that's all you see.
What's that, sorry?
That is all you see when you get in the street.
Aye.
Foreigners.
You're scared. Are you scared doing the local thing?
I'm not.
What's that?
The hotelier, they lock the front doors and they have to use the door at the back. They took a piece of ground from the house owner at the other side of the hotel and made a path for them to move between the Queen's Hotel and the Station Hotel.
Are you racist?
I'm not racist. I've got quite a number of friends of different denominations in the country, but I am not racist. But I object to the British tax constantly paying on these people who do not respect our laws and our country.
Well, it's good to see that you're out here.
Well,
when we touch here, maybe just try this, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that feels nice.
Jesus, Scap. Right.
God.
What they are paying.
Who's we have a problem, man? We're watching. Who is his name again? Who's his name? He's famous. What was his name? The famous hypnotist, Paul McKenna.
Paul McKenna's trying to hypnotise us all.
Anyway, you get the gist. The fact of the matter is, you know what I mean.
We should have missed this time of year, shouldn't we? Of the United Kingdom.
Right. Well, I'm going to show up. It's good to see you speaking up.
I mean, that's the rest of it's just hanging. But that to me, now the fact is that I don't know if why she was kind of going over there, and I'm going to assume. I'm just assuming, I can't say for facts, but I'm going to assume there was shouting. We have a woman at that age getting out of bed and doing that. That shows me how broken this country is. And I'm sitting there going, this is just ridiculous. Again, I'll stand by the divide and conquer tactics, and I'm all about unity. And this week we're going to announce something, and hopefully everybody just brings a noise and we bring unity. Hopefully, to try and no divide and conquer. There will be people that don't want to unite, but at the end of the day, there's many causes that are being ignored. So, watch your space and bring a noise. But I mean, Craig, any input regarding that video with that wee woman?
Were you at Perth at the weekend?
Aye. Our thoughts had bumped into you in Stirling.
Just a quick thing, John. I mean, you touched on it earlier on, right? We've been back.
You've not sent me the video for Stirling. You had one job, and you've not. Where's my video for Stirling?
I did. I sent it this morning. You got it through email.
I take it Craig's about 4.5 minutes behind everybody.
He still thinks his bloody team's alive anyway. Carry on, Kev.
I mean, I've been saying it since I come on that platform. You're absolutely right. I mean, you and I are Celtic men, right? And see the amount of abuse we take off the people the team that we support, because we're actually saying that, do you know what, we're no picking up with this anymore. I mean, I obviously was up at Aberdeen yesterday with Craig Day, and then honestly, some of the crackpots of the comments I've seen in some of the threads that I put up, it's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And any time like I've done anything with the hotels on that day, do you know what I mean? I'm getting called all sorts of names. But see, at the end of the day, I don't care, because a lot of my mates that are Celtic men are saying the same things as us. They just don't want this. Do you know what I mean? We don't want these undocumented and unvetted men getting moved into our communities across our lands, and more so the people, the British people, having to pick up the tab for it. It needs to stop. But as you say time and time again, John and Craig, and I've been listening to Sean earlier on. I mean, you guys go into really deep things, right? I need it in more simpler terms than the way you used it, right? And I think sometimes when you guys are talking about things like, you need to remember as well, you need to put it in a bit more simpler terms for people that maybe don't understand it as much as how deep you went into that and how you put it. Do you know what I mean? Because there are bigger forces at play here. We're getting absolutely trolled off our own governments. Do you know what I mean?
Kev, the most simple way I say to everybody, I go back to it all the time. The documentary, The Agenda by Oracle Films. If you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. It is very simple. It's very simple. It lays a lot of things out.
See before
when you go.
See before David Icke turns up, I need to go to my bed. Can I just say something? See over the different channels that this goes out on, 9,500 people have watched this live at some point tonight.
They jump up when I came on?
No, that's down. My X feed just disappeared. I'm like, oh, it's him again. Honestly, that Bampot, man, that David Icke. He's on. Do you know, see, to be fair play to John, I was thinking there for a minute, right? You've went some journey, and see when you used to come into X spaces like a year ago, it didn't matter what we're talking about. You would go, but the Jag, right? And you just, all you wanted to talk about was the Jag. And I used to watch it, and you jump from room to room to talk about the Jag, right? And I kind of think that something's clicked somewhere, and you went, fuck me, it's bigger than that. And yes, the Jag is fucking horrendous. And if anybody doesn't want to listen to about how bad the Jag is, go and get Alex Mitchell, my good pal, the Bionic Mod. Call him the Bionic Mod because he's got one leg, right? He's got a false leg, and they're trying to make it good enough that he can go on his beloved scooter, right? So, and it's very, very important. But now you're like, there's a massive pit. The whole thing's fucking broke. So, if you want to just talk about cope, you've got an audience there that's a certain size. But if you only just want to talk about WEF, then the audience get a certain size, and other people in the room are just like that.
It's all in a link.
More people, you can put it. Of course it is, right? But you've changed because it used to be there's John the COVID guy. No, it's there's John the podcast guy. You know what I mean? And you're getting more traction.
John is
you know what I mean? But it's important to it's still your driver.
I think when you look at it that way, right? So when this first happened to me, I was kind of like, no, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Am I still here?
Aye. So I'm not kicked to just yet, right?
So when this first happened,
I guarantee his missus is unplugged the internet, man.
Kev's
in a different parallel universe to everybody else, isn't he? Kev's away over here somewhere, and we're all over here.
I'm watching John going round in circles here.
It's like going into an old folks home with us, man. Internet's lagging and Kev's talking at the window, his reflections, you know what I mean? This is just wild. Anyway.
John. I know you took care of privileges off me for Kev when you went to Falkirk with him. Are you going to are you ever going to take care of privileges again with him, or am I lumbered with him for the rest of eternity?
There's enough going on in the world without adding that.
Right, let me just clear something up with the two of you right here now. I don't need you. I can go. I can get to right. I could have been up in Aberdeen before you go to Dundee yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. I'll make the effort to get to these places, right? Because I think it's important, right? But I enjoy going up with the two of you, right? I enjoy listening to you. I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy watching you and performing. You are up there, so stop fucking talking pish that you lumbered with me. You love my company. The two of you.
What I'm saying is,
do you know what I think? We were that close, John. We were that close to getting me taking the mic on Saturday. We were getting them all revved up. You could see his phone right. What is it? Megaphone thing, right? It was hilarious, right? It was brilliant. And I'm like, going to it. Couldn't shut them. Honestly, I think it was that close.
But I keep saying to you and John, right? right? And I don't mind saying this publicly, right? And even like listening to Sean, right? I know who's a podcaster as well. You guys know what you are talking about, right? What am I going to do? Just go up and rant like an absolute lunatic for 10 minutes? Do you know what I mean? I can do that in spaces. I can do that with a megaphone. I don't need a mic to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to go back to what you said, I was a COVID guy, right? And I totally agree with that.
Oh, I changed the subject, John. That's
No,
right,
no,
aye.
because I never go to
Back
finish.
to
You know,
mate.
you
Back
say I
to you
interrupt,
again,
right?
John, aye.
You say I interrupt, right? But I
Sorry,
couldn't
but
finish.
sorry, but
It was like
sorry,
him when I was
sorry,
trying to
John.
get it out.
We changed the
You know what I
subject to
mean?
yourself there for a minute, mate. Sorry, mate.
Anyway, right.
On you go, John. Stop it, John. What? On you go, son.
No, but what we're saying, right, is I was the COVID guy, right? But bear in mind that this thing nearly took my life and I still get issues. And the COVID, I think I still think that when people realise that the Jag was the biggest medical lie in history, I do think that that's something that can unite people. The fact is, all right, it's been and gone, but the amount of people that are dropping for it, I always say it, doesn't matter what colour of skin you are, doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter religion, the government try to poison you. It's that simple. Every single one is. What happened to me could have happened to anybody. And I do think it is a touching point to make people realise that, because the amount of evidence regarding it. But as time goes on, you start to see that everything, the education, the schools, blah, blah, blah. And again, it's like some people are one-trick ponies. Like you go into certain Twitter spaces and everyone's just talking about immigration. I'm like, right, can we maybe slide it over to the farmers a wee bit here? Because like it's getting into winter and that's scary times. Can we maybe slip it over to here? Where, you know, the government are now saying you can't take £800 out your bank account and they can withhold it, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that are getting slipped. But anyway, I can see Big Craig's yawning and Kev.
I'm struggling. I'm genuinely struggling, mate. And I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. But
we'll leave it
up, by
that.
the way. Wait a minute, 4.5 and 3 3s, 7 8. Oh, that's 43. Aye. 9,000 odd people watched this tonight. That's mental, isn't it? It's just bonkers. It's just, and when I like X spaces. I think they're good. I've learnt a lot of skills through them, debating and things like that. And because I was addicted to them last summer, weren't we, Kev? We were on them from 4 in the morning and stuff like that. And what I was trying to do with this show was to try and make an X space on YouTube, right? So that was kind of what I wanted. And when you go into these X spaces, you've got your speaker, that would be me. Or sorry, your host, that would be me, because it's my platform, as it were. And then you've got your co-hosts, that's all the guys that have come in for most of the show and people, you know, have asked to come along. And then you've got listeners, and the listeners are the normal people that are viewing the channel and support the channel. And then it's giving them the platform to come up from being listeners up to being speakers. And we've done that again tonight. There's been a few coming up, and particularly Veronica, just, you know, having a woman up. That's great, because I only thought about that the other day. There's only been one woman in this space. I was trying to get one of the women that was that I spoke to up in Aberdeen to come on. But anyway, it's been great, and I'm really enjoying them. And I thought originally the original thumbnails I got made up. I got 2 made up. I got one saying 7 to 8 p.m. and one 8 to 9 p.m. Well, this one started at 8 and it's now to 12. And it's brilliant. I feel as if I could sit here all night if I wasn't so tired. So thank everybody that's, you know, the co-host guys, the pals that are, you know, coming and you know, help with the, you know, keep the whole thing going, and the people that have come up to speak. It's just brilliant, and hopefully we can keep them going. And I've still not decided. I said I would do 2 or 3 of them and then we'd decide, look, we'll do them on a Thursday at 8 o'clock, or we'll do them on a Tuesday at 7 o'clock or whatever. But my life's a bit erratic, so I kind of can't do that. And what I think is amazing is that it's not a structured that day, that time, and we still get thousands of people tune in. It's just bonkers. So there's obviously, when you say this, I don't mean in monetary value, but there's a market for this. There's an appetite for it. And we'll keep going. And I'm glad, again, that, you know, we've had some English people coming into the space. The last one we done last week, all I wanted to do was talk about the protests and what was going to happen across UK. And we had loads of guys, real big hitters off X and YouTube and stuff were in that show. And then that led to AY Audits jumping in and out, and me getting a wee podcast with him on the Thursday. So it's been wonderful, and it's good fun, and long may it continue. So thanks very much to everybody that's been in helping me co-host this, and the people have come up to talk, because that's what it's about. And I want to be able to get to a point where it's just, I'm queued out the door coming in, the phone in, because that's kind of where I want to go with this. And thanks very much to everybody. So we'll just end in the way I always end. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And if you hit the notification bell, even more important for the lives, because they're at a erratic time start, you get an email instantly. As soon as I hit the live button, you get an email sent to you, get, let you know. So that's one good thing about subscribing. And we've got folk with channels in the room. We've got John there, who I'm not plugging because I don't like him. We've got Sean with Social Sessions. We've got, is he still in? DJR Media, young lad up in Aberdeen doing some wonderful things up there. We're, a channel that's starting to get a bit of traction. And I think most of the people, apart from Kevin Aranta, you don't want to follow him on Twitter, but most of them are on Twitter. So, unless you are the type of person that wants to come into this country, Kev, I do like you, you know that, right? It's no obvious. See if I didn't like you, I wouldn't even talk about your day. And I keep saying to folk, there's some value. You keep me going, seeing the trips. You're just, some of the stuff you start talking about, I just love it. It's a laugh.
Don't interrupt his outro.
She gets stuck in the motor, back of the seat of the motor. He took the front seat. Imagine doing that to him.
No. Right, you're a good lady. Right, I went to go in the back. She went, no, you jump in the front. And I went, no, you just. She went, no, I'll sit in the back. So
no,
don't
but
even
right,
think
it's
about
gentlemanly.
it.
But listen, it's gentlemanly to say it at least 3 times, right? And almost demand it 3 times. Be like, all right, Colin, thanks very much. Cheers, right? Anyway, bar that, right? Aye, unless you're the type of person that comes into this country and costs us £5 billion a year because you're here. No, if you just want to be here, that's fine. Fill out the immigration forms, join the queue, and we'll sort it out sometime, right? Coming here illegally, putting good communities under fear, like that wee woman, that broke my heart listening to her, right? People like that, they know you. But everyone else, have a great day. Great day, great night. Cheery bye now.